I think it's time we blow this scene. Get everybody and their stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
I don't care why they doing it. It's wrong.
I know, but that's why they
Like
do
Silk
it.
Savage said earlier, they did them wrong. It's anime trash.
But
Like,
the
No, I'm gonna say
the true story of it all, though, it does,
all right. It's a party hacker named Radical Air who offers him a bounty with Julia betraying Spike by shooting him, causing Spike to fall from the church's glass. We have come to meet again. You already know what it is. We got the Bebop. Netflix dropped the Bebop. We're gonna talk about lots of things regarding Cowboy Bebop today. But first, before we get into all of that, I am Japan Man X3. I got my man's. Let's see, we got Bluish here on the cam. Y'all see him. We got Brandozilla here on the cam. We also have Silk, and we may potentially have Mr. Steel-Toe House Shoes himself pull up. You may see him in his little icon in the video, but he's muted right now. But he has seen
make
this
an announcement. For this podcast, I will be known as Savage.
Ooh, young Savage, what you telling him?
And now we got let's look at
all right.
he woke up. He been sleeping the whole time.
Mr. Savage is into the building. So yeah, y'all. Oh, okay. Yes. All right. It's a party now. All right, look, y'all. This is gonna be a no holds barred conversation, talking about Netflix's audacity to make this live action show be what it is. But first,
let me repeat real quick.
Yes, go ahead.
This is full spoilers. We're not doing no dang separate video. We telling you everything. It don't deserve no second video.
Yeah, one time only.
One take.
All right.
And one more thing before we get lost in the rage, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe for more hate, for more rage, for more Savage 04. He transformed it sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's do this jump, man. Let's
all right, y'all. First off, it's Cowboy, it's Bebop. We talking about Bebop. We talking about jazz. Let's talk about the music for this show, because I think this is something that the only thing that we probably universally will be maybe somewhat positive of, and that's an assumption. But I'm gonna ask y'all: did y'all enjoy the music? Because we love the music from the anime. How y'all think about it?
All of it. I loved all of it. Even the music, the original, and even the stuff they was playing in Anna's Club. All of it fit the scenes really nicely. Yeah, the music was A1. A1. A homegirl came back. What's her name?
Yoko Kanno.
Yoko Kanno came back, played the seatbelts, music, and jump. Great. That's all I said about it. Awesome.
It's excellent, man. It sounds like even the new tracks are great, and it sounds like a lot of the older tracks. While I may like some of them a little bit more in the original, they're still solid. Like, they still hold up today.
As far as like the characters, like the in-universe characters actually appreciating jazz, was that a little too on the nose for y'all, or was that like, did that fit? What'd you think about that?
I don't think it wasn't on the nose, because and the reason why I say that, it was only really one character. It's really Jet. We know Spike likes music because he walks around with headphones on, but he wasn't. In the show, he wasn't really. We didn't know what he was listening to or whatever. But yeah, I mean, the ship is called Bebop, and I think that is referencing something in music, in jazz or something. I gotta look it up. I don't really know.
No, there's
what's up, man?
It's a style of jazz.
Yeah, it's a style of jazz. Subgenre.
It's a subgenre of jazz, yeah. And so I don't think it was on the nose. I mean, yeah, man, I was cool with it. What y'all think? I was good.
Man, I think it fits. I feel like, especially with the time period that we're basically set in, it's almost like this futuristic like 60s and 50s kind of era. I think it would fit, especially for Jet's character. Just because him having conversations doesn't seem too out of the realm for Jet or something that he would do. Because he reminds me of a lot of like an old timer type of person where it's like, hey, I love this stuff. I'm into it a lot. Let me talk about it. So it would make sense.
Yeah. I think one thing I was disappointed in, I can't remember. I don't know if I can say I rewatched it to find out, but I know on the trailer.
You want to rewatch it? You want to go back to this? What? No, it's fine. Go ahead.
On the trailer for it, played one of my favorite songs, which is "What Planet Is This?" You know, I don't know if that was actually in the show. I can't remember. I don't know. But anyway, that track is.
But you know, there's a season 2 coming, so you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Music was trash.
The music was trash.
What?
Yes.
Let's go.
Play yourself, yes, sir.
I will tell you why it was trash.
Why it was trash?
They played more of their original music than the OST. It was okay, but the music that we wanted to hear, they literally played out of the whole music, what, 30-second snippets of like the original. I was like, okay, I'm getting to it. Oh, it stopped. But Lord, I mean, but in every jazz scene, it was all original music. I didn't want to hear that. That was the time to play some of the other stuff, man. Yeah. I got a whole bunch of stuff. We just stopped right there.
No, this is a music segment, man. So what's up?
Yeah.
What's up,
if it's all about music right now.
It ain't got nothing. No.
He said, my hit is going to more serious things.
One trash moment. They literally, and no, you know what? Stop. Because it really wasn't their fault. It was Netflix's fault. Right?
We could get there.
They literally played Blues, but if you don't pause it and it goes to the next episode, you completely miss it.
That is so true.
Because I was like, oh, there it is, and Netflix was like, let's go to the next episode.
Yep.
And I was reading an article. There was an article that came over, and they did their review, and it was right. At the end of Bebop, they had like little pictures and stuff as you were listening to the music, you know, the little background. But since Netflix just shows straight credits, they probably played a whole bunch of songs we would never hear it.
Never know. Yeah.
I'm going to go back. I'm not going to go back. But literally, I heard the beginning. I said, "Oh my God, next episode."
I heard it too.
Yep.
And let me just say too, because Netflix thought they was real slick, and they thought, oh yeah, these little end credit. Like the little title card thing that they put, like, see you later, Space Cowboy, stuff like that. Yeah. They thought they was slick with some of this music placement, because where they put Rich Folk Blues, when they actually played it, is completely undeserved. Completely undeserved. And we're going to talk about it when we get to that episode. But don't you dare play that song after that.
Another complaint I got, because I liked all the music. I'll be honest, I like the new stuff too. Of course, it's not beating the seatbelt stuff. But tell me why. And especially when Faye was on the screen, why were they playing Ed's theme? They would be playing Ed's theme, and Ed is nowhere to be found.
Fam.
Did you catch that? Catch that? I'm like, oh, that's Ed's theme.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it'd been cool to see her walking. You know how she be walking, and then she be doing like this. And then she be doing that moonwalk. Y'all remember the moonwalk she be doing?
Are you ready to see that in season 2?
Faye.
Shut up.
You know what? You know what? She did not do a bad job.
But don't even.
We'll get there.
Let's get there.
I'm so mad about that. I'm so mad. Oh my God.
We'll get there. All right. So music is music. It's not gonna fail with the seatbelts. Their original stuff is, here or there, but we know this is Cowboy Bebop.
They didn't do fans. Fan service was not there. The fan service was not there.
What you mean? You didn't like the disrespect to the fans? I'm sorry.
I ain't like none
My
of that.
bad.
That was what they serviced
I
to
like
us.
none of that. I ain't
Can I
like
ask
none
you
of
one
that.
more?
Like it,
I was
Go
gonna say
ahead,
one more
Brando.
thing
Go
one
ahead,
more
go
thing
ahead.
about the music. They lean very heavily on the jazz, which is cool,
Mhm.
but bebop has more than just jazz in it. You know, we got like, y'all know the track "Don't Bother None." The doom, doom, doom. It's like a harmonica.
Mm-hmm.
They got like a
Mhm.
little guitar in it. Just that Western. Sometimes they just have harmonica. Like it just be.
you'll get that in season 2. Don't worry about that. You're gonna
But the
get
thing
all
about it
that
is,
in season 2.
yeah, it's like, bebop, of course, is jazz focused, but there's also like you said, there's a country influence. There is, I mean, all these are kind of derivatives of jazz anyway. But like, there's country, there's like
Very
blues.
foreign.
Blues, of course, is a main pillar of jazz
Yeah.
in itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I do think variation wise, it was a little limited.
Correct me if
But,
I'm
I
wrong.
mean-
Was there a little bit of rock too? Because I remember that the heavy
Sometimes,
metal,
yeah.
the heavy
Yeah.
metal episode. I can't
Yeah.
remember the name of it.
You'll get all
Yeah.
this in season 2. Don't worry about
Yeah.
all that. Season 2 gonna have your jazz, gonna have some rock in it, gonna have some country.
All right,
You're gonna have
I
all
think-
this. Dude.
Just
I
keep
just-
going, guys. Please.
All right.
Please.
Let's move on.
One of the other things
Quiet.
that is one of the other pivotal things about Cowboy Bebop as an anime is, of course, the intro. We all know Tank talking about that music in and of itself, but the intro just oozes style and lets you kind of melt into this mold of the show being cool. Like you just expecting whatever you about to watch is about to be cool. So Netflix, of course, tried their own adaptation of the intro with their show. What did y'all think about that? They released this earlier, I believe, before the show even came out. But seeing it when the show starts and everything like that, did y'all feel any type of way about the intro? Like, what was your opinion on that?
It's not bad.
I didn't. It wasn't bad.
It's not
Okay.
bad.
That was probably the most fan service you're gonna get from this series was the
Yeah.
intro. That's about what you was gonna get.
I think it was
And,
the best.
and now that we know it's gonna be a season 2, I know why they did that.
Mhm.
I know now. Now it makes sense now. I'm like, okay, I see why they added certain things and took certain things out. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's typical. That was going to. I knew if they was going to do a season 2 and include, and not include certain things, they had to do that. And there's nothing that we can do about that. There's nothing you can do about that. The music was there, the style was there.
Yeah.
They did their little thing.
Yeah.
We know a couple of things was missing from the intro, but you know why now. So
Right.
there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing I can do about that. There's nothing. And plus, there's many more other things we can talk about other than the intro. And that's
Yeah,
just,
for sure.
the intro's
For sure.
the least of my problems. I promise
For sure.
you, that's the least of my problems.
Yeah.
Let them have
Alright.
that. I'm like, okay. That's what I'm at.
Intro was solid. I think it's the best you could do in a live action setting. We're gonna talk about it, but I understand the adaptation portion of it, where you gotta change and adjust things. I get that to a degree, and I'll get more into it later on. But as far as this, I feel like that's the closest you could get to it being legitimate anime, like legitimate anime opening compared to the show. So it's solid. I can't complain too much about it.
If they do a season 2, it's gotta stay the same, except for a little bit more auditions.
I feel like it's gonna change.
You really
Like,
think so?
I feel like the season 2 intro would change somewhat because everything that they showed off in this one was literally in this season, except Ed. So even if they add Ed at the end of the intro, all the other stuff is irrelevant to season 2 because it's been happening. So I feel like they may give some more placement to Julia. They may backseat Vicious because they backseated Vicious a lot. But anyway, I mean, I think there will be some adjustments to the season 2 intro. We don't know.
Don't get me
We'll
started.
see.
Bro. Don't get me
Oh my
started.
God.
Let's
Alright.
move on, bro.
Let's go
move
to
on.
let's go
get
to
to
the
the
meat and
entree.
potatoes.
Yeah, let's get to the intro.
What the Rock say? What the Rock say? He said, "Give me the veggies." Like, Hey,
I'm hungry. Give me the meat.
You want to do episode by episode? Do you want to just take it by character?
I think we're gonna have to blend the two, so we can progress with the characters as the episodes progress. So we can we can react to this in real time based on how the show presented stuff that happened. If that makes sense, right?
You want us to relive our pain?
No.
We're gonna experience this.
I might
together.
not be ready for this. I'm not ready for this.
So
The
episode
wounds are
1.
still fresh. The wounds are still fresh.
I get it, man.
Episode 1 is called Cowboy Gospel. Let's see. As a brief overview, in the year 2071, bounty hunter Spike Spiegel, and Jet Black thwart an attempted casino heist, leading to a gunfight that severely damages the casino, results in the ISSP deducting the high cost of repairs from their bounty. They're mad at the job because they had less money than before. Jet picks up a new bounty, which is Asimov and his wife Katarina. They're going to New Tijuana to sell some red eye. And let's see. Oh, also, the Red Dragon Syndicate is in episode 1. Faye Valentine is in episode 1, who was supposed to get Katarina and return her to her father. Ultimately, Asimov is mortally wounded by a bullet from Faye, and Katarina, unwilling to go back to her father, chooses to commit suicide by flying into the ISSP as Spike watches. Surviving Syndicate gunman reports to his boss Vicious, who's in episode 1, who kills him after learning of Spike's involvement and orders him to be hunted down. That is episode 1 of the Netflix Cowboy Bebop React.
Number 1, let's go ahead and draw. I'm gonna go ahead and make this conclusion, draw this little chord, because adaptation in real life. Let's go ahead and talk about it. This is very much based off of episode 1, Asteroid Blues. For those who don't know, episode 1 is based off of Asteroid Blues.
And to some extent, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. For this episode, I think it was an okay introduction to Spike and Jet. They borrowed heavily from the intro scene of the Cowboy Bebop movie when they're in the grocery. You remember they was in the grocery store. Mm-hmm. That was held up way cooler, to be totally honest. Because you remember Spike just walked in there listening to radio, wasn't even, anyway, that's another thing. It was an effective introduction, and I was cool with the punches, but the problem was, it was a lot of problems, bro. Faye showing up here, this totally ruins a lot of things. Faye showing up, and that brings me to another problem with this show on the whole, because I'm not going to leave this episode. I'm just talking about this. This show looks like it was such in a hurry to get things to you that it's like it ruins stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't give you anything. Why are we seeing Vicious?
See, this is
first episode.
Yeah.
That's like
episode 1.
That's like me saying, let's put in Iron Man 1, the beginning of the MCU, and we see Thanos at the end of Iron Man 1. That's like doing that. So it's like, that's the problem. You rush Vicious, you rush Faye in the first thing, and the ending of this, man, the ending in the anime set the tone for the rest of the show, meaning that it's a good time, but we're dealing with real stuff here. You know what I'm saying? Because in the show, in the anime, I hate to sound like this nerd, but in the anime, but seriously, in the anime, what was the girl name? That was
Katarina.
Yeah, she gave up. She looked at her situation and she was like, "We're never gonna make it to Mars." Shoots him, and then does she cap herself too? I think.
No, she allows herself to be killed by the police, but she kills Asimov first.
Yeah,
and this is the thing. I went back and I just watched Asteroid Blues simply after I finished this series just to see if I was mistaken, and I was not. That episode in the anime is so perfect, right, for setting the tone. And again, I remember when we was at Brando's house doing our watch party for just episodes 1 and 2 of the Netflix show. I was telling them, I was like, yo, Asimov in space, breathing heavy because he's influenced under the red eye, going towards the police officers. Yeah. Like, he's in a situation he can't win. She knows this inside the actual show, and she's like, she gives up. She's just like, no, this is not going to happen. You're going to get us both killed. I love you. I'm going to kill you just because this is not the person that I fell in love with. She kills her own man right there. Looks back at Spike and is like, we were never going to make it to Mars. Like we was never going to make it to Mars. it then dies in space, right? But the fact that outside of all the different things that they changed here, Faye is the one who mortally wounds him. That takes so much out of this character. Like it shows all of a sudden that, oh, this deep impact that we were supposed to have gotten, that we got in the anime, that's not necessarily the main focus of this show. And that's when I knew automatically, oh, some stuff is gonna be wrong here. So yeah, I think that scene in particular is a very pivotal Cowboy Bebop moment.
You guys are looking at this all wrong. Looking at it all wrong. This was complete utter dumpster juice. I'm gonna tell you why. It wasn't rushed. Rondo's little touched on something. This is my main problem, and this is just going to fit with the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
The series is half-hearted. They created this half-hearted. The first episode, I was even based. When we sat there and saw the first part of the first episode, that was based from the movie. I already knew they are combining all 24 episodes into these 10 episodes.
Yeah.
So with Asteroid Blues, it's so much wrong with it because they're combining 4 or 5 episodes plus a movie into this one thing. They introduced Vicious too early. They introduced Fade too early, and I wish we could talk about characters because that's my other thing too. But anyway, they introduced a whole bunch of elements. They took the best elements. They say what matches Asteroid Blue from the other episodes in the movie, and then let's combine this all into an hour show. And while I'm at it, that way we get to put all the main characters who you want to see, minus Ed. We ain't gonna put him in there yet, but we're gonna put everybody else in this, the main little players of this. And while I'm at it, that's it. When we watch that first episode, it's a combination of about 3 to 4 episodes plus the movie.
For sure.
They combined it. They didn't rush. It ain't like they went in order but skipped scenes. They literally took pieces of episodes and combined it.
I think on top of that, like the way we got introduced to Faye so early on, I think that was like the producers trying to let us know, yo, it's gonna be changes, deal with it. Like I think that's legit, like what that was supposed to mean, because we all know she's not supposed to be in the first episode. But the thing that I don't think they understood was like, okay, the chemistry of this family that is Spike, Faye, Jet, Iron, and Ed is that they develop over time. Like it's not just episode 1, everybody's together and understands one another and their motivations. And the fact that of course they shoehorn so many people into this first episode, it was rough, man. And I don't want to spend it all pod on episode 1, so we'll move on. I will just ask though briefly, from a presentation standpoint, just from the environments that we were in, from how the ships and designs and everything look, from the character designs, because of course we are watching the show now. What did y'all think about that? Separate from the story, separate from the actual acting, quote unquote. What did y'all think about just the presentation of everything?
I say this: the dudes that handled the ship design, whether the Bebop, the Swordfish, Faye ship, some of the locations, the elders were at, some of the shots of the space shots. I think all those were crafted really well, to be honest with you. I think some sets were better than others. Some sets looked like it was shot in Atlanta, which they probably shot. I don't know where they shot this at. But some sets look really good. The one set where, the episode where Spike was in the Matrix thing and it kept, repeating or whatever, that set looked to me like something I would see out of the show, like the Bebop show. But then you got some stuff like, it was, I can't remember what episode. It's like some sets. Oh, yeah. When they're going to, the episode when they're going to like, I think it's like Boobs or something. It was the nightclub show. That looked like it was shot in Atlanta.
Boobs. You thinking about Space Dandy?
No. And this one, remember they said it's an upper town, it's a bottom.
Oh yeah. It's like Betty's or something like that.
Yeah. Those sets didn't look great at all. But the space stuff, as good as the space stuff looked, it was severely lacking. severely lacking. If you didn't know, if you didn't watch the anime before this, you would totally forget that this takes place not on the Earth.
Place in space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be like, oh, Space Cowboy. Why they say that? Because there's a whole scene.
That's season 2. Don't worry about that. That's season 2. I'm telling y'all looking at this all wrong. Y'all looking at it all wrong. I get it now.
I mean, but dude,
I've been in the Matrix.
they could at least
I'm free now.
They could at least have one episode.
No, they
where
wasn't
the whole
going to do none of
look
that.
it out. They could have had the one episode where the whole show took place on the Bebop. They didn't. That wasn't.
They wasn't going to do that.
Yeah.
I already knew it. I knew that by episode
They may do it with
4, they
Ed.
wasn't going to do that. I knew that. They had to
Like,
include
the
Ed.
episode-
They have to include her. And if we don't see Ed,
Yeah.
you're not going to get a space episode. You're not going to get
Yeah,
You're
that's
not
what I was
gonna
thinking
do
too. Like, because when they all get sick on the ship from
Yeah,
eating the bad food,
Yeah,
Ed
you're
is
not
there.
going to get that.
So
You're not going to get that.
yeah.
Not at all. Not at all.
Come on, Bluish, give me something. Give me something, Bluish. I know it's in you.
He's pondering over there.
Episode 1 was alright. Best thing about it was Jet.
He's the best thing in the whole series.
He's the best in the whole series. He's the best actor. He's
Yeah.
the one
Oh no! When we talk about these episodes, I'm gonna continually remind y'all that Jet is the best thing in this show.
Yeah.
That's what I like. That's what I like.
Jet was the
That's
best
true.
thing.
He ain't lying. He ain't lying.
The soul behind Asteroid Blues is gone. You know, I didn't feel anything with that final scene. I was just like,
Yeah.
No.
all right. So
No.
by this moment, I don't have too much to say on this episode because I'm very. It didn't do anything super egregious yet, but at this moment in my head, I'm like, all right, this might not go well. So we can go.
I just knew Vicious immediately was gonna suck. Like
I knew from trailer.
Just from the trailer alone, we knew he was gonna be bad. But I was like, I don't know, man. So speaking of him, let's go.
I'm tired of seeing them dang crooked teeth, man. Get that out of my face, dog.
Let's go
to episode 2. So episode 2 is called Venus Pop. While tracking down a terrorist known as the Teddy Bomber on Venus, Spike survives in the temple of his life by a syndicate assassin. Pretending to want noodles, Spike secretly visits Anna, a club owner who raised him as a boy and assumed he was dead, for information. Anna warns him that he needs to reveal his past as a syndicate hitman to Jet, who's a former cop, and also informs him that Julia, the woman he once loved, is now married to Vicious. The elders who run the syndicate discover that Vicious has been dealing red-eye without permission, force him to take part in a mock execution of Julia as punishment. Julia calls her husband weak for not standing up to the elders. He violently chokes her and throws her to the ground. Jet and Spike locate the bomber, subdue him, and also keeping the bomb from going off. Oh yeah, when they stood on the bomb. Spike volunteers to stay behind until Jet can collect the bounty. Anna discreetly eavesdrops on Vicious being told by his enforcers, Shin and Lin, that his assassin Gunther is dead at Spike's hand. So this episode introduced a lot of things. We saw a lot of stuff dealing with a lot of stuff dealing with Vicious, a lot of stuff dealing around Vicious and Julia. We saw the elders for the syndicate. We saw Anna. We saw a lot react.
Let me ask.
Trash again.
Let me ask.
Trash the whole thing.
Let me ask
and
you a
I'm gonna
couple
tell you why.
questions. I got a couple questions real quick.
Okay,
just to clarify a couple things. In the original anime, did that man Vicious ever send assassins after Spike ever? Other than in the very beginning in his backstory.
No.
Did he ever send him after that? No.
Not at all.
Because he's the OG.
Got
He's
you.
an OG in the anime.
Got you. Another thing. Jet, who is still amazing. Did he ever have a daughter in the original in the original show? Is that a thing?
Did not.
No.
Why is the black character a deadbeat dad?
That's not a thing.
He ain't deadbeat.
He wasn't deadbeat.
He wasn't deadbeat.
In the episode, you realize why he actually spent time in prison. Remember, he did based on the show.
Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about
that.
One more question. All
right, go ahead.
Did just real quick, we're gonna talk about it more later. Did Vicious ever marry Julia in the original?
No.
Is that the thing?
No,
No, it's not the
No.
thing. All right, cool.
no,
You know,
no.
do what you gotta do, man. Do what you gotta do.
So-
Once again, the characterization made. I'm just saying for Silk Savage's point of view, none of the episodes' plot lines were totally bad for me, but because the characters were portrayed so poorly,
Yeah.
it just ruined the whole series. But the
Mhm.
characters ruined this series. I'm just this is my opinion.
But yeah,
I don't mind the changes because I knew they're gonna combine stuff, and I'm like, okay. But if they would have portrayed the characters from the anime, this would be a totally different. You can
Yes.
add stuff and
Yes.
change, but because they were Julia and Vicious and certain of these characters were so poorly wrong, they were just wrong. So yes, I can see this Vicious man boy Vicious send assassin. He was trash.
Kylo Ren vicious.
He's Kylo Ren.
What?
That was Kylo
Bad
Ren.
boy.
Vicious. That was Kylo Ren. Vicious.
it was Kylo Ren. Yep, I said it was Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren. Vicious.
But to your point, Silk, when you talk about adding to characters, I'll be totally honest with you guys. I did not mind Jet having a kid. I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that at all. I actually liked the storyline with him being, he was betrayed in the anime, but as far as the betrayal goes, it just meant that he lost his arm. I don't think he went to prison in the anime. I had to rewatch that episode, but I did not mind that. I did not mind that. And as far as this Jet, we'll just I'm gonna hit on Jet for a second. He's the best thing in the show. Mustafa, I think that's his name, the actor. Perfect.
He got the mannerism.
Someone who studied the anime. He studied the anime.
No.
Yes. He watched the show.
In for school, he learned modulation. His modulation
Yes.
was perfect. His
Yeah.
modulation was perfect.
If you close your eyes, you're thinking you're watching the anime. He literally sounds like the voice actor. Is the mannerism as the voice actor.
Yes.
So what they did with Jet, they turned up the knob on him being the glue of the Bebop.
Yes.
I didn't mind that because we got a hint of that in the anime. I'll be honest, you go back and watch the anime now, it's compared to Mustafa's depiction, he's a lot kind of meaner a little bit. Especially the Fae. He's real mean to Fae in the anime. But I didn't mind that, and it gave, as we're gonna further discuss, it gave him, a different outlook than the others, because I guess, like we mentioned before on our show here, that this show is about a bunch of losers, people that have lost everything. So him, with this show, you watch him trying to hang on to what he has, but then he loses it. So we'll talk about it later. Jet's perfect. So I'm done.
So I will say too, to that point too, I brought it up, but I'm also not mad at the daughter angle too. What I hate, which is what we're gonna get into later, is how the daughter is used in this show.
Yeah.
I don't
it's completely
mind.
Telegraphed.
Yeah, I don't mind the addition. Like I said, this is an adaptation. I get that you want to add stuff, and we're gonna get into more changes that they made that I don't mind. But the execution of those changes is fundamentally flawed and ruins characters.
All right, and I love the Jet discussion because I agree too. I love him as a character. The daughter being present, it did not make me like Jet more. If I can say that, I think it's one of those things where it's like he already was a great character in the anime based on what we had then. I don't know if this particular angle where you involve his other family stuff so heavily makes him a better character for it. However, I do appreciate how they treated him though. And how he did handle certain things, and we'll get to that later on. But let's switch gears and talk about Vicious a little more. Because in this episode, you see him
shirtless Vicious.
It's crazy, right? Because
Trash.
Vicious in the anime is presented almost like a monster. He's pure evil. He's mad powerful.
Big Sephiroth energy.
Yes, big Sephiroth energy. Right? Big vast Sephiroth energy.
And so trash. He's trash.
The fact that he chokes Julia.
Nothing else to say.
or it gets even to the point where it's like, oh, you got to kill your wife. And now it's like Vicious getting married. He has a liability in his wife. And then she's looking at him and calling him weak. Is this the Vicious we know? Like, what are they doing to our boy? Like, why? Why?
I feel like we're gonna have a discussion. We're gonna have a discussion on what character gets butchered the most, and my vote might be for Vicious.
Okay.
I've never seen this man butchered.
Character on here, Vicious and Julia. We know from the anime that both of those didn't really have a lot of time, so I knew that they were going to include them for episode 1, at least flesh them out in a way that fits the anime. It doesn't fit. It doesn't. Which goes. I mean, as we go down to the episode 9, my favorite episode is the closest we're going to get.
Yeah.
But that confirmed all of my on this show, because it's like they reversed. They should have started with that. They honestly just started with that and kept it going. It's like, what happened between, because you were close to Vicious then,
bro,
and like years you just loses it. Oh my god, it's just wrong. It is.
And this episode
completely wrong. Like it doesn't fit.
And that's and see what he said, it doesn't fit. Those words. I truly apply that to Julia. I truly and I think Julia, along with Vicious, both of them ruined this show so much because here's why. And I don't mean to jump, because I'm gonna come right back.
It's all good.
But if you're watching the show, the original anime, if you're a fan of this show, I'm not explaining it. You know why. Because Julia, the whole time we're watching Bebop, we're having a good time with the crew people trying to live, collecting bounties each day. That's what we're watching. Then out of nowhere, we get backstory to Spike. What happened? Oh, it was a girl. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, oh, that's what happened, right? When you show that Julia already, it's like phase reveal. It's weightless. You know what I'm saying? Because we watching as veterans, of people that like the show already, we're like, okay. At least I was thinking, okay, we ain't gonna see Julia till like the end or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like in episode 9, when we saw her go up on stage and sing, that should have been the first time we saw Julia. That should have been the first time we saw her.
I'm a rebuttal that. I don't mind if they showed her in episode 1, but when it got to episode 9, Bebop characters and episode 1 through 8 Bebop characters are not the same people.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
They're
That's
not
a complete
the same.
fact. That's a complete
They
fact.
was more faithful in episode 9. They supposed to be
It's just
even
weird.
more ruthless.
Spike act more Spike-ish.
They change even more in 10.
Yeah. Oh, we get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
I just sticked myself back up.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
That boy is here. That boy is here.
You're
All
welcome.
right.
There you go. But
Oh,
man,
right.
Can I just say?
I like this topic.
Can I just say?
fundamentally wrong. It's wrong. It's the whole. They're wrong. They're trash. that is.
Can I
Episode
just,
3, let's do it.
hold on. Can I
wrong,
just
man.
say this
Go
is
ahead.
the first of many episodes where we're gonna talk about how changes are wrong. All of y'all who say, "Oh yeah, these changes are excellent. They're great. They're phenomenal." I got something for you, man.
It's trash.
Splish splash. Your opinion is trash.
Trash.
We're gonna
Big
come back
trash.
to this. We're gonna
Big
come back
trash.
to all of this.
This is trash, man.
I will say, just as a shout out, I did like Anna. I appreciated Anna and her relationship that they had developed with the show with Spike. I think they did that very well. As far as that, I mean, that's that. Anyway,
Anna
skipping on. For
She
sure.
did.
They definitely gave her a lot more pivotalness to the show.
Yeah.
I did appreciate that.
Oh,
Yeah.
freaking Gren.
Oh yeah. Whew. Yeah.
Let's keep going. Man. I'm sorry.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. All right, episode 3, the most outrageous episode I think in this show, outside of the story stuff. Dog Star Swing. It says on Mars, Spike and Jet hunt down a serial murderer, Abdul Hakim, while Jet tries to find an expensive talking doll for his daughter Kimmy's birthday. During their investigation, they discover that Hakim, a refugee from Earth, killed his victims, all of whom were wealthy refugees, because he blamed them for leaving him and his parents to die so they could take their pets with them instead. He stole dogs, but ultimately couldn't bring himself to pull the trigger. Spike and Jet talked to Hakeem into surrendering, but the ISSP officers shoot him dead to avoid having to pay his bounty. When the doll is accidentally destroyed, Jet instead gives Kimmy one of the dogs, a Welsh Corgi named Iron. His ex-wife refuses the gift, forces him to take it back due to the heavy luxury taxes on pets. Meanwhile, Spike, having located Vicious's drug factory on Mars, sends his enemy a message by firing a sniper rifle into the bulletproof window of his car.
Let's go. I'm ready. Please look.
And this is based off of Stray Dog Stray episode 2.
But
go ahead, Brando.
This is the moment I knew this moment. When I saw Vicious flinch, I knew they took him to the Humane Society and they got him snipped. He had the microchip put in right there. I knew from this moment.
The cute boy collar with like the sweater going on.
I knew from this moment. He was on Fox 5, Adopt Me Friday. He's been neutered. Like, bro, I knew at this point, I said, okay, this Vicious is Kylo Ren. This Vicious.
He's not vicious. He's not vicious at all. He's a scaredy cat.
He's something else. He's more like I don't know. He ain't vicious, but when he got scared of Spike's shot, I was like, yeah, this is not. I ain't gonna. Ever since when I saw that, I checked out in terms of Vicious. I was like, you know what? There is no villain here. I'm just gonna stick around and see what happens to the Bebop crew. Because honestly, to be keep it a buck with y'all, in the original anime, I didn't really care for Vicious anyway. He was just a plot line. He was a story element to get Spike to go somewhere to have conflict.
He's a foil. He's a foil.
There's a reason.
He's a pure foil of Spike.
And so since I saw this moment, I was like, okay, yeah, this dude, he ain't vicious. He ain't got the crow. He ain't walking around like this with the crow. Y'all remember
I
the crow he used to have?
Oh my god!
Like this. He ain't got
I
that alien
didn't
crow.
think about the crow at all.
I was like, he's not vicious at this point.
He's not vicious. Yes.
So that's when I knew. I was like, yeah, dude, Vicious is gone. He's checked out. He's offline.
He's been gone, but you knew why.
Well, to me, because at first when I saw him in the first few episodes, I said, okay, maybe they're trying to make Vicious more three-dimensional. I don't know. Maybe, the foil to every strong man and his woman, that's a trope. I was thinking maybe that's what they would do, but it's more than that. He was weak. Yes, he was weak.
He's a scaredy cat.
He was a scary. But that was a quote in this show that you're just gonna be a scared little boy. That's from the show.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what y'all think, man? That I just had to say that because I knew at that point. I said, yeah.
This is. If you name one episode was what's wrong with Bebop, I would say this one. This is
the worst one, I think.
Exactly one. So. This is. I got two things. One, the character of Vicious, I knew then. That was totally he didn't study. Totally, they must have picked him up because he could act. I'm just going to be. None of that matters. Two, so with this one and with Faye Valentine. So the whole time when they was talking about it, they said they wasn't going to sexualize Faye like they did. But you can include everything in this episode that then Faye Valentine. So I have this shirt on, right? I'm thinking, so okay, she's not gonna dress like this, right? Okay, I get that. I understand you probably gonna change her backstory, whatever what she had to do, because she was in the anime. She wasn't. Let's just say she wasn't a Christian woman based on the anime.
Yes.
So you're gonna change that, okay? But you're going to include all of this in episode 3. You're going to show everything. You're going to have Spike just chilling. You're just going to have him just chilling. I'm like, come.
Was there not?
That's why I knew something was wrong.
Was there not a dominatrix in this episode? Was this the episode with the dominatrix talking about all the wild stuff she into?
Yes.
And you talking about not sexualizing Faye. You're
Right.
So
out of
you
your
had to
mind.
fundamentally change her.
You're
That's why I
out
said
of
the
your
one thing.
mind.
This
Let's
is
keep
what's
it going.
wrong.
We here now. We here now. Don't get offended. Don't leave. We here now. Look. We won't sexualize Faye. We won't put her, look. We won't sexualize Faye. We won't put her in those clothes that Silk showed. But we'll show her naked sleeping with another chick. We'll do that. We'll do that. That's fine.
We'll do
That's
that.
okay.
We'll do
But
that.
as long as
That's
she's
enough.
not wearing
I was gonna touch
those
on that.
clothes, as
Gonna
long as we
touch
don't show
on that.
that, it's fine. But it's
And even though Faye wasn't sexualized, but the way she was portrayed in the anime makes it more so when she finds out where she's from. It's the small things like that.
Now I will say that I think the biggest Faye discussion can happen
when she
next
found out
episode.
later in the
Yeah.
next episode. When she found out a little piece, it didn't make feel nothing. But in the anime, you felt for that because you know what she had to do to get to where she's at was because she didn't know where she was from. So she had to use herself to get where she's going. But in this one, you don't. But again, stress that you don't want to portray that Faye, but you can put everything else in it. That's what you're telling me. Stop.
And
That's what I do. I'm with Brandon. I checked out after that. I said, let me just see how this whole series plays out. Because I'm like, obviously somebody lied to me. Somebody was gonna tell. Come on now.
I agree heavily with these sentiments, and the only thing I guess on my part with this episode, obviously it's been touched on about Vicious and everything. This episode to me was the point where I realized that the people who created this show either don't understand the source material fully or don't care about the source material fully, because not only do they retroactively mess up Vicious's character along with other people, which we'll get into later, but Ain's character also, because Ain gets introduced in this episode, and there's a reason, which we find out later on, that he can do a few special things. We know why. Does the audience at home know why watching this? Heck no. And that's the same thing with other like villains and side characters that we're gonna touch on later. They do stuff in this show that is explained in the anime, but it could easily have been explained here and never.
Which is funny, right? Because they changed so much from the anime, like we changed this. Like, don't y'all see this, nerds? But then at the same time, it's like they want folks to rely on the anime to fill in certain pieces. Like you say, with Ayn, and we'll get to that. But it just was very interesting how he loses. He's just a dog, right? But he loses so much.
It was contradictory. Like I said, episode 3 describes the whole series. It was so contradictory. Like you said, they wanted you to say, "Hey, we changed stuff, but we also want you to rely on the source material. Give you a little fan service." But we're going to change. We're going to change it. But remember this. But we're not going to include the rest. Or I see this. I want to add this, but I'm gonna take this away. But I'm gonna add this. I'm like, we didn't want to see all that. I can't have a traditional character. So,
was this the episode when Vicious ordered like all these drug workers to be shot and killed?
Yes, this was this episode.
Yes,
they was all naked in the shop.
Two things to say about that. They ripped that scene straight out of Daredevil, because in Daredevil, remember they was selling drugs for the hand, and all of them were blind. Remember that? That was literally stripped straight from Daredevil. Also, with this, it feels like, okay, you want to be like HBO, you want to be like Game of Thrones. You want to have nudity and stuff like that. I'll keep it a buck. It was unneeded. Why are they naked? You know what I'm saying? It's like they would do stuff in the show just to be like, "Ooh, look, we're adult." Ooh, look,
From the context of this is a futuristic era, and it's like, oh, people still got to get naked to handle drugs. Like, to me, that's just like weird. Y'all got sensors. Sensors and everything. You could check.
It was unneeded, man. It was just like it was the equivalent to somebody wearing Skechers so they can ride a roller coaster. You know what I'm saying? It was like we already understand that this is a mature show, but it just felt forced. You know what I'm saying? Honestly,
but even then, I don't think they understand because the original, yes, is made for adults fully, but it is never this crazy. You don't have people cussing like they in high school. That's not a thing.
We as kids, don't be wrong. We're all from either the late 80s or 90s. As kids, we watched Cowboy Bebop and liked it and appreciated it. Yes, some stuff went over our heads thematically, but it never was like, this is egregiously like I'm not supposed to be watching this. Like, granted, some weirdo stuff happened in the movie or whatever, but like even then, it wasn't like crazy. And this is like, kids can't watch this. Like kids should not watch this show at this point in time. It's rated TV MA on Netflix for a reason, and now you fully understand why. Because they pushed it on ways that they didn't need to.
But it's like you said, on ways it didn't need. It'd be one thing if maybe it was TVMA, because when Spike got burned, they had to strip all his clothes off to put him, and now you see a naked Spike. Okay, it's a narrative reason. You literally just showing people.
You just want to go to a sex club. You just literally want to go to a sex dungeon club. Yeah. That's it.
That's it. Like dude getting whipped. I'm like, what? Why? Why? Like,
it's excessive. Why? It's excessive for sure. I will say, this episode, and we'll talk about this a little later on too, when it comes to Spike as a character, or Fearless, however y'all want to name him. He spiked to me. He spiked to me. However,
where did that come from?
It was very interesting that they make him like James Bond Spike. Like he has all these secret things kind of going on in the background, which in the anime he does have his own stuff going on, but they do play it up here. But also, him and Jet at this point in the show have been together, I want to say, for like 3 years, right? And there's this moment where like the doll fell off the building and, fell into the puddle. And it's all broken up and everything. And Spike says, "Oh, you can still give this to her." And I'm like, I don't think Spike is that much of a jerk. Like they both like they butt heads over silly stuff all the time. But I'm like, nah. Like we spent the whole episode here.
I comment on that, and I might be alone. I might be on this island by myself. I might be on. But the Spike and Jet stuff in the show, I really enjoyed.
I liked it.
Because even like on episode 2, when they was on that, you can tell they let's keep it a buck. They had love for each other, because when Jet was on that bomb, and then Spike just pushed him, just like, get off this thing.
That was a dope scene.
And Jet was just like, man, I'll be right back, man. Hold up. I got you.
Once again, I like the relationship, but the way they lead it is terrible. It's a disrespect to both of their characters.
What do you mean?
At certain points, it's like they forget that they're cool. Like
when we get to that, we'll get there. How that whole happened. In fact, what you brought up, I want to say last episode, where he was talking to Anna, and he was like, "No, I can't tell Jet that I was a part of the syndicate. It would break him."
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. There's nothing in his backstory outside of him being a cop that would be like, "Oh yeah, if I tell him I'm specifically syndicate, he's gonna be incredibly mad."
Yeah, like that doesn't make sense. Like it's anyway. Let's go to episode 4. I really appreciate that point, bro.
We all that in episode 2, in season 2. I mean, season 2, we gonna know why he didn't like the syndicate. That's it.
All right, so we know you catching up. We on episode 4 now. We going episode by episode at this point, and we're just talking about reactions to that, and you can implement your character responses to people as far as like how they're being developed throughout the show as well. So, episode 4, Callisto Soul. While visiting the opera on Ganymede to find a lead on the con artist who cryo-scammed her, Faye encounters an eco-terrorist group, the Callisto Liberation Front, that threatens an industrial corporation to stop their terraforming activities, but inadvertently kills the corporation's CEO with a bioweapon that turns people into trees. Spike, Jet, and Faye team up to stop the group on Callisto from launching missiles carrying the bioweapon onto Ganymede's surface. While Spike and Jet stop the missile launch, Faye chases after the group's leader, Maria Murdoch, but goes off course when she receives a call from Whitney Haggett's Matsumoto, her scammer. When Murdoch launches her final missile, this time towards Callisto, Faye has a change of heart and sacrifices her ship to destroy the missile, saving Spike and Jet. Faced with the prospect of going to prison, Blues is freaking out right here on my screen. Murdoch's daughter, Harrison, uses the bioweapon to kill herself and her mother. Spike and Jet rescue Faye and invite her to join the Bebop's crew. Julia asks Anna to set up a meeting with Mao, a syndicate capo. Yeah.
So,
Mid episode, these are one of those random. I view this the equivalent of the Fridge episode. Once again, the characterization of Faye.
it's
We
horrible.
get it. Okay, this her. It's horrible. This is her first time trying to figure out where she's from. Again, because they didn't want to portray Faye how she's supposed to be portrayed, but they want to portray her in this way, but want to add boobs in last episode. This is the again, because it's wrong. The episode comes off. It's a trash. I didn't need. I wasted an hour of my life watching.
Let me hop in for Faye now because Faye to me in the show, in the anime, I'm sorry, is if y'all heard of this archetype of a character called like a femme fatale, like she has this mystique to her. Faye can kind of do whatever. She can be very fun. She can also be serious. She can dress up like a teenager, but she can also dress down in like, you know, a red dress and do her thing and be kind of sexy and cool throughout the whole thing, right? This show, in this particular episode alone, it kind of just isolates her as, oh, you're kind of like humorous. Like, yes, you have this weird backstory that we don't really understand, but as a character, you're kind of like the one that makes all the immature jokes. Like you kind of like that.
Oh, you just touched the nerve, bro.
Yeah, it's like they reduce her.
Me and Brando might be in the same thinking.
Go ahead, Blue. Go ahead, man.
So
immature.
Go ahead, Blue. Go ahead.
She makes all the penis jokes. I'm like, yo, what's up with you making all
me
these
and
big jokes?
Brando, me and Brando, if we think it alike, I think in this season, she was used as a replacement for Ed.
Right.
There you go.
Exactly.
There you go.
And that is not her character in the
That's not her
slightest.
character. She's not goofy. Like in the anime, they all are goofy together as when they do like silly stuff and they be mad at each other. But they make her like goofy by herself, and I'm like, that's really weird. Like,
and the thing is, in the show, in the anime, Faye has fun. Faye is funny. Like, if you she is funny. But her act, Blue said this, so I didn't say that, but it was perfect. Faye is acting like she's from Scott Pilgrim. Like she's saying, you know, she's using like immature jokes, immature penis jokes, and this is. It's not her. It's not her.
It's not her.
And
it's wrong.
I was so let down by this episode, guys.
Yeah.
I was so let down.
This episode actually was like, especially coming up with 3 for me, was like, oh, I don't think they can bring this back up.
Yeah. Go ahead, Blue.
I was gonna say, let me start bringing up the stupidity meter, because there's moments in this show that are incredibly stupid and unnecessary. Number one, how come gunshots seem to halfway affect people? Faye got shot in her shoulder, and you know she just sits down. She just sits down and has a full conversation. You know what I mean? It happens multiple times, by the way. There are times people are affected by gunshots, other times not so much.
Yeah.
And I think she still uses the same arm for the gun, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly.
Like she still fired a bullet in her shoulder right now. Anyway,
and let's talk about stupid moment number 2. Stupid unnecessary moment number 2. When in the original, this is based off of Gateway Shuffle, and originally the toxin thing, the gas, was meant to deform them into chimpanzees, and this turns them into trees. I don't care about that. It's cool. There's a moment where Faye finds a dude that she was tracking down. He's turned into a tree.
Oh, I know.
She sticks her hand into the tree.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna keep this PG. We're gonna keep this PG, but she pulls her hand out and there's white stuff on her hand. I'm like, what are you implying right now? Why was this necessary? Why does he?
Like, a phone wouldn't be there. A phone would be in his pocket.
It's like somebody born in 2008 wrote this. Like somebody born in 2010, you know, wrote it. And yeah, that was so unnecessary. Yeah, bro. It was supposed to be funny. You're supposed to laugh.
It wasn't like that. Was because that's not Faye. That's not her character. She's not Ed. She's not Ed.
She's not Ed. But that's the thing. They had to make up for the lack of, you know, comedic character.
I couldn't either.
And so this episode really let me down, because if you watch the animated, this was one of the coolest space scenes in the show. They were flying. Faye and Spike were in their ships, firing these missiles at the eco terrorists.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they had to get out the warp gate before it closed.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
so
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
And none of that. No
None of that
space,
happened.
nothing. And that's my second realization of the show. Okay, this isn't See You Space Cowboy. This is See You Cowboy. If they're cowboys at all, the space is gone. Like there's no space. There was no dog fights in the air, and this was one of the coolest. It was one of the coolest moments of the show.
Arda, you here now, and you are someone who's recently gotten through. You recently watched the anime version of Cowboy Bebop within the past, I would say, year. So I know this is a little fresh for you. Any thoughts, any feelings so far on how, we've gone through episodes 1 through 4. We're on 4 right now. Do you have anything to add off top?
So the major gripes, you guys have been saying it in perfect words, so that's why I never had to tag in. But the fresh part, depending on how you guys introduce this, with you mentioning how the show, they start off with a lot of space scenes. People kind of compliment on, these kind of look nice. The space station looked nice. All the different cuts look nice. We gonna be in space. So it'll be nice. It didn't catch on to me till later on. I was like, they're not using them ships at all. Except when Faye was leaving. And then when Brandon just mentioned that now, it's like, I totally forgot. That was the ill episode. It actually happened. I actually didn't really enjoy that, and I totally lost my escaping my mind that it wasn't actually even inside here at all. This was supposed to be the correlation. They're that's.
Yeah.
After episode 3, I gave up. Long story short, too. So I really wasn't expecting. I stopped referencing. I stopped expecting anything. That was what it was.
Yeah.
And this is the first instance where Faye's decision makes no sense based off of how her original character is. We're gonna touch on it later, but at that point, from what we have seen with the relationship between Faye, Spike, and Jet, there's no reason that Faye should have turned around and tried to save them.
And not at this point. Yeah.
Not at
Especially
this point.
if it was the Faye of the anime who was she was kind of opposed to them for a minute until she actually came on the crew. Anyway,
this would have been a better moment later on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bring her into
I totally agree.
And I'm add to it. I didn't mind if she would have saved them. It wouldn't have changed nothing for me. But remember, the Faye in there, she was always had an angle. So it would have been better if she saved them, but had an angle or needed them to, or saved them for some other reason for herself because she was selfish. Again, if she was created right, you could add this stuff to it, and then you can make it make sense. But exactly, because this Faye doesn't make any sense. I didn't know why in the world she would save them, but other than because it's part of the script. But again, if she were in harmony with the original material, and they didn't try to be all PC culture, then they could have used her in that way. But it had another ulterior motive. Maybe she needed them for something else down the line. And then the later episode, she can come to appreciate them. But again, this is another. I'm with Remy. I spaced out after episode 3. Like I said,
quick synopsis.
I was so done with this mess.
Quick synopsis. Episode 4, right? Episode 4
episode
was
4.
totally nutbags.
Mm-hmm.
That said that twice in a 5-minute span. Nutbags. That was used.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Is this also, now to turn it just a little bit, was this also the episode where Spike kept wanting to kill Faye and Jet had to keep stopping him and stuff? Was that this episode?
He did it about twice or so.
Yeah.
So I want to say those at that point was where certain interactions between them, I was like, okay, this is a little fun. Out of everything, if I take away what's going on the planet, whatever the supposedly serious situation is, they are getting a somewhat level of chemistry. And at this point, I'm kind of appreciating Spike a little bit more as a character. I thought he was all right coming in. Like you said, Jet was perfect throughout. But Spike at this point to me was like, oh, okay, when he's not serious 007 agent man, I kind of like him a little better because he's actually performing like he was in the anime. And Faye, to an extent, when she was isolated with them, and the three of them were just kind of kidding around and stuff, I started to appreciate those interactions.
Man, but it's like what you said though, bro. I'll go ahead and say it, guys. I mean, I like the crew work, together. I think they captured that chemistry good.
Yeah.
I think they captured it well. And you just said that you like that. Guess what? We all like that. That's what made the show. That's why the reason why the show could literally be one thing and be something totally different the next episode is because you had these characters there and they was
pulled it together. Yeah.
And that was the glue that kept you watching. And it's like, they just start doing stuff, bro.
I would say on that because, like, right, these are the three main characters. They do hold this weight, but the anime never tried to spread itself too thin. And by the end of this episode, they mentioned it in the synopsis here. Here's a situation where I did not like, where it said Julia asked Anna to set up a meeting with Mao. Okay, Julia already was dead in the anime, so her character did not exist like this. And the way they're trying to put her in the kind of like the forefront spot in tandem with Vicious is like, okay, we know Vicious is basically portrayed to be crazy, almost Joker-esque in this type of show. Whereas Julia is kind of supposed to be kind of more cool, calm, and collected, and the brains almost of the operation is going and having her little secret meetings too. But it's like, but also Vicious runs the syndicate. Well, it's not, he doesn't run the syndicate at this point, but he's so attached and he's sending goons out for Spike, all this type of stuff. And you don't know what his wife is doing. The dude who's like mad overprotective of his wife pretty much the whole show doesn't know that she's having secret meetings with Anna or anything like that. That at this point was like, all right, y'all are doing some weird stuff. But anyway, we shall move on. Episode 5.
Bro, I got your episode 5 right here, bro. You gonna tell you episode 5, bro?
Yeah,
Episode 5. I'm gonna keep it real. I seen it too on here, bro. It was the Jet flashback episode. And while Jet was doing his thing, going back, tracing the guy that he thought betrayed him, we had time for Spike and Faye to bond, with just to shoot the crap with each other. Oh, you really bound her to prove it. Which, I kind of like. What y'all think about episode 5 though?
This episode, I know y'all say 9 is your favorite. This one is my favorite.
I like this episode too, Blue.
This was first until 9. This is my second best.
This episode was great.
Yes.
Of course, we got to see more Jet, and more Jet is always great. How they handled the reveal of it being his partner that shot him was great. And even an addition that I really, really liked, this whole back and forth that Faye and Spike had, where they were like trading battle scars. They were like showing, hey, I got this scar.
Yeah, I got this one from
like that was great, and that was a great bonding moment between Spike and Faye, which kind of adds to like their whole brother and sister dynamic that I liked from the original show. So this episode was great to me. I don't think I had any problems, unless there was like a small scene with like other people not related to the story. No, this episode was great.
Yeah,
it was classic Bebop. Classic. This is what the whole series is supposed to be. Just like this. Just exactly.
Where you have these separate stories kind of going on at the same time. Like something will happen. One character gotta leave. The other two can stick around. They have their own side story, and then the one that's happening is a little bit more serious, a little bit more tense. Oh, someone could die, but then guess what? They live and they come back to tell the story to the homies, and they bond that much better. Like Jet is so good. Like Jet is so good. Like he's so good, and they keep reminding us he's the best character in the show. Why? Because even on his one-off episode, they show all these ranges of emotions that he goes through. You get to see him be cool. You see him get back into cop mode. We see a flashback. We see him operate with his partner like it was still in real time. And then we see the betrayal, and you see him feel it. Like it's like, oh man, that's really messed up, And then, his whole thing is his reputation. He used to be a police officer. Like that meant a lot. Yeah. And so even like his homie who was like, now he's smashing your wife, but like he even respects you a little bit more now because he's like, oh, like we was actually building a case against this dude. And even though he's dead, like we know, like I know, bro, like I'm gonna still hold you down. Like I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, dude. This felt like one of the few episodes in this series that felt like a Bebop. Like it felt like I was watching Bebop. After this, when the credits roll on this, I said, "Wow, that was an episode of Cowboy Bebop." And this is one of the few of them that I dare say did it better than the anime. I feel like it really. I know that's tough to say.
As far as implementing new stuff, I can agree because the whole thing is it's supposed to do something different, right?
It did, and it really humanized Jet like a lot. Like we love Spike, we love Faye, we love Ed, but Jet is and man, he's just like a real dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it really
he doesn't have a whole bunch of craziness going on in the backstory in the anime. It is some betrayal that happens, right? We understand that. But to see it put in the forefront here is like, oh, it's equivalent to like what Faye went through, what Spike went through, in terms of like he brings something to the table that's on par with them. So he can kind of match that same type of energy of, like you say, loss.
Yeah. And two, from this episode, you can really tell that, you get, even though even in the anime he didn't do it as much, but in this interpretation, I get it. Especially when you look at, I work with PD too, and I, Silk can say the same. It's a certain brotherhood element that's there, and you really get to see it, and that's why you see that this Jet is pushing. We're a team, You're my partner. You get why Jet is that way, and this episode, what we see him go through in this episode, really provides a foundation as to why he's acting like that, because. And especially you could tell, like when he found out that his boy betrayed him, it hurt him. Like he was he put his gun down. He had, and he was like, really? Like he put it down, like, and yeah, you can really tell. So yeah, man, it was such a good episode. It was a good episode.
Yeah. This was a good one.
Yeah.
This was a good one. I think
it's my number 2.
Yeah, I don't know where I fall on the 9 or this episode, but I do think this was one of the best ones of the show for sure.
This is my number 1 as far as being Bebop, like you said.
Bebop, yeah.
I would agree. It's for the good and bad. That's what gets me. Yeah. Like I said, I already made my gripes about how I felt about the original. This episode had all of that, so it's like that's a plus for them, to be honest. Like, I enjoyed it.
All right, we'll move on to episode 6, Binary Two-Step. This is where stuff gets weird again, like really weird. Jet learns from his mechanic, Mel, that the Bebop needs a new engine part. One of Jet's informants, Radical Ed, sends him information on Sai Baba, a legendary bounty that Ed has managed to identify as Dr. Lundes, owner of a clinic devoted to freeing the mind. We know Spike goes to investigate this, gets trapped in the machine. We find out that Lundes is basically a AI that goes crazy and is trying to basically trap Spike inside of it, and I guess make him lose his mind. Let's see. Jet is trying to fix the ship. Faye is on her way to. She got that railgun. They do try and play that up a lot. And
she goes with sneaky link.
So much.
Yeah. Lots of sneaky link activity in this show. Faye uses her new railgun to pierce the mainframe, saving Spike's life. Mel departs after urging Faye to continue searching for who she really is. Spike quietly holds a picture of him and Julia, admitting to himself that he will never let go of his feelings for her. Can I start?
Bro, no, it was wasting my time, bro. Wasting my time.
Can I start? All right, at this point, like how they I'll say this, they hold Vicious severely from the get-go, right? We know Vicious is like just this weak puppy-dog dude with a sword, and he has some power behind him. And we learn later on he's a rich boy too. So all his stuff makes sense in the context of him being so bad as far as like a character. But then with my man Spike, it's like, all right, dude, we know in the anime you did your boy foul, you got with his girl. We get that. But Spike never was like addicted to Julia in the sense that it was like him being trapped in that thing and just kind of going through it again and again and again and again. Then at the end of it, like, I'll never let my feelings go for you. I'm like, fam, you was already a loner in the anime. Like, you didn't have people like this. The fact that you let people in your void, who was Jet, who was Spike, who was Faye, who was Ed, like, that made him such a better character because he did transition at that point to coming off of whatever grief that he was holding on to that whole time. Whereas with this one, it just reinforced it. It's like, oh, he's a simp. Like, like he's really down bad for Julia, and he wants to get her back so bad. And it then comes to bite him back in his face at the end of it, where we see this big reversal that happens in episode 10. So anyway, with this in general, I just didn't like that whole Spike and Julia worship almost. I'm like, fam, like, this is too much.
So to me, it wasn't bad to me. Again, they added a little bit of his obsession, was like the last couple episodes in the anime, because I didn't get either why he wanted to run away with her, and we already know what happened if you watch the anime, so that didn't bother me. So was mid to me. I mean, it was like it was on a good road. These two was on a good road. Okay, I get it with the little. They mentioned the little Ed spoof. That's the only down thing I'm gonna say. They mentioned Ed gave them the tip, but then again, they didn't show her. I was like, oh God, this is gonna be bad. Then they didn't show her yet. This is gonna go downhill. But I mean, the obsession. I didn't know why he was looking back on it now and looking at episode 9. I do agree with Japan. I understand why he was obsessed. My problem is, like he said, I don't know why he was such a simp though. Because to me, from episode 9, it looked like their relationship lasted just one night.
What is
it was vicious.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I want to see. Now,
Vicious said she chose me.
Yeah. So I mean, if they were together for months in episode 9, then I would have seen why. But it looked like they had a one night and then all of a sudden run. What?
Yeah. And then we get to episode, and I'm sorry, I wanted to hell this episode to episode. But episode 10, I gotta talk about this little piece. Cause Stardy says tells Spike, yo, she chose me, dog, and then shoots him and lets him die. Like, that's the whole thing, right? So you telling me my man Spike Spiegel, fearless, has been 3 years. 3 years. He's been telling himself, nah, fam, she still want me, dog. She still want, they marry Anna? Nah, man, she still want me, dog. Like, that's not Spike, bro. I'm sorry. That's not, I don't think that's 2 and 2 together Spike, bro. Like, that
again,
that to me
that's what I'm
makes it seem
saying. That was another contradictory, because my episode, like I said, she said, why you didn't come for me? Because I told him you was with me. So why are you still mad? I mean, you should have been came for her. Right. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to it,
but I'm just saying, like, it just was weird, dog. Like, it was weird that they spent a whole episode with this man supposed to be going through his feelings about her, and at the end of it is like, I'll never let go of my feelings for you. And the whole thing is you got done dirty.
The episode was a waste of time. This episode was a waste of time, bro. Like, I watched this episode and I was like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Like, I was like, is this supposed to convince me that Spike really loves Julia? I mean, because, again, going back from an anime viewer, no one's favorite character is Julia. Who really likes this show? Julia is no one's favorite.
She's not a pivotal character. Like, she is a pivotal character, but she's not a main character, bro.
She's a plot device. Julia is a plot device. And
she's a point in the plot that you have to do, but once again,
he has to show up. But what I'm saying is,
it wasn't like in the anime, so it's like.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I understand this. You're trying to flesh him out, but it's like what they're telling what Julia is garbage. That's my main thing.
I mean, and the thing is, when it comes to the relationship with Julia and Spike in the anime, you probably get maybe probably 1.5 episodes of it. On the Battle of the Fallen Angels, after what happened went down, before Spike wakes up, you get flashes of what him and Julia did. But I mean, it's not really about them. It's not about that. It's about the fact that he betrayed Vicious. That's really what it's about. And
Yes.
so we don't want a romance story between Julia and Spike. But being Netflix, they said that the general audience needs motivation behind their character. So
Yeah.
they want to set up all this different stuff, and it's just wasteful. This
It's
episode,
a very
it
Western.
should have been the Ed episode. This is where Ed should have been.
Basically, yes. Like
This
they
is
should have
where
replaced
Ed-
this
they
one
should've-
completely.
They should have went to Earth and found Ed, picked up
Yeah.
Ed in this episode. That's what should happen.
And if
Because to
you-
me, like, I'm gonna let you go. Give me 1 second. But it's like, to me, it's a very much a telling point that, okay, this is a very Western show, a very Western focused, romance focused, action adventure type focused show. Because here it is where they really play up this character who in the anime was not insignificant to the plot, but not significant to the showtime. Like, Julian wasn't in a lot of scenes of the show, but she was in there just enough for you to effectively, as a viewer, piece together the story between her and Spike with not really any words. Like, you didn't really have to have them. I don't think they talk in the anime in those
No
scenes,
words at
right?
all.
So it was just visual. It told the story in those little snippets just enough for you to understand, oh dang, he did his boy wrong. That's why they have all this beef. It's over Julia. Cool. Like, you get that. And this one is like, oh, well, who really is Julia? What was she to you? Who are you, Spike? Why did you really like her? Like, they over-explain it, like, to the point where the characters start to look lame because of these motivations. And it's like, in the anime, they never look lame, bro. Like, they never had to look lame for them to be who they were. And I think at this point, they really, in their humanizing, over-humanizing, I would say, you take some of this mystique and intrigue off of the characters. So, yeah, they dull them down. I'm sorry, Blue. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say, if you wanted any more evidence to show that this episode was a complete waste of time, understand that this episode started with Spike throwing out Julia's picture, and then it ended with him picking that picture back up.
Yeah.
We didn't go nowhere.
I didn't like this episode at all.
I don't know if this
nowhere.
episode is the worst or episode 3 was the worst. I don't know. This episode sucked. Like, yeah.
Definitely the worst. Lord Jesus. This one.
They had
We'll move past
gun scene.
The what?
the gun scene with the rail gun.
Well, apart from the road, not apart from the road gun. But when he was in the world, he had to do a fight scene.
This was the episode where we want to not sexualize Faye, but then we show her naked. That's what this.
Yeah, we show her naked with another chick.
Yeah.
She's lesbian.
Let's have Faye have a hookup in the ship while stuff is supposed to be happening.
Yeah,
that look like
we're not gonna sexualize Faye, guys.
You remember this chick from Ragnarok? Thor Ragnarok?
Nah.
Tessa Thompson, that was a
Not Tessa Thompson. All right, so who's the dude who ran the world that he was on?
Oh, Hella?
And he had the big butch assistant.
What Thor you watch? You watch Blore?
I don't know what you talking about, bro.
I think he's talking.
Hold on. We're gonna get this out of the day.
That's better Ray Bill movie. That's not Thor.
Cause you got Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum had the big chick, the big lady that was next to him.
With the little,
Okay.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, she wasn't in here, bro. Was she?
Never mind. It's okay.
I don't think that was her. But anyway,
It wasn't, but it's okay. It's okay.
yeah.
It's okay.
Let's get through this hurt.
I thought that was very random too. Just like, oh, we'll throw Faye in a one night stand just to say she's edgy. Like, anyway, all right. Episode 7, Galileo Hustle. Whitney, who was referenced before, is the one who cryo scammed Faye. She comes to visit. Offers her a job in Santos City in exchange for her identikit. She posed as Faye's mother. She convinces Jet to launch the Bebop for the job. Upon their arrival, Spike and Jet identify Whitney as a wanted con artist, but they encounter the arms dealer, the Iron Mink. Oh my gosh! Who threatens them to surrender the Bebop for their lives. They track Whitney's ring. So they found her. Spike and Jet roam the city. Jet goes off to look at his daughter, go to do her play, while Spike fights all these people. Iron Mink still trying to find Faye and Whitney. Whitney says a safe word. so Iron Mink can stop. Then they start making out. Meanwhile, Faye found her identikit. What was in it was just a VHS tape. Then she leaves with the ship, her iconic ship. She finally got the ship, which was actually cool to see. And then she watches the the VHS tape with the guys. I thought that was kind of nice too. Meanwhile, it says meanwhile Vicious lays down his plans with Mal and Santiago to overthrow the elders from the syndicate, but Julia later gives Mal a bigger offer to portray Vicious. So we have the Iron Mink, who's newly introduced in this episode. We get to see a lot more of Whitney. We get to see this weirdo dude named Santiago.
Famo, hold on. I want to say this. I want to add to the stupid meter really quickly.
Oh, don't.
Let me add to the stupid meter.
Hey, before y'all keep going, I'm at to step out.
All right.
I'm going to step out. I got a Zoom meeting. A Zoom meeting.
Right.
And the wife is giving me the evil look.
All right. We're going to do you justice,
y'all
bro.
back
We're going
on.
to do you justice.
All right, we got you.
So y'all still on. I'm going to get back on.
All right, cool.
So I'm at the stupid meter because Santiago has a scene in this show, and it's also a saying where he said you cannot truly know a man or battle a man until you've eaten his testicles.
Yes.
And he's got a bowl full of testicles.
Someone wrote this.
Someone wrote that.
Was it really in the bowl? Or those like Roma tomatoes?
Oh no. Those were testicles.
You know what those were.
They were actually they was balls.
It didn't click for me neither at first, Brando. It didn't click for me.
They did that. And
can I say something else that's dumb, Blue?
Please.
Tell me why, and I mean this. I'm not trolling. Tell me why I was more afraid of Santiago than Vicious. Tell me why the way he was introduced. I was like
crazy.
He was like
that way.
You saw him grab the knife?
The homeboy had the plantation master look.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's Vicious.
Right. Any nigga with an afro with a perm, he's different. He's different. He's built different, bro.
Django.
I was more afraid of Santiago.
Yeah.
And the way they introduced him, you heard of Santiago in word. You didn't see him. And the other lady was like, you can't cross him. You know what he do.
He's different.
And I was like, oh dang, who's this cat? And when you see him, and he got a plate full of balls. He's more scary than Vicious in this show.
100%. Shall I go in on how they mess up Faye's character?
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Please do.
So this one is based off of My Funny Valentine. It is much later into the show. I want to say Ed is probably already here too. But they decide to make massive changes to Faye's character. Whitney Haggis Matsumoto in the original show is a guy. What happens with Faye's original backstory is she gets sick, they put her in cryo sleep, and she ends up getting cured by a doctor who, of course, takes her out of cryo sleep many years later. But because of this procedure, she incurs a whole lot of debt from the doctor. Well, this dude Whitney comes around and it's kind of like, I believe he poses as like a lawyer seeking to try to help her when he's really just a fake and he's gonna rip her off. And it's exactly what he does. He fakes his death and he rips her off and ends up giving the debt that he had to her. And the thing is Faye fell in love with this dude, but she betrayed him on such a massive level. And of course she has amnesia, so she also doesn't know who she really truly is. That is like integral to her character. That, and I think there's a situation too where of course she has now like a bounty on her head because of all of these debts, and I think she ends up trusting one random dude who ends up calling and trying to points a gun at her and tries to get the bounty off her head, or like use her for the bounty. And that is like integral to her character because she don't trust nobody. She has no reason to. She doesn't know who she is. She's been betrayed multiple times by multiple different people. She don't trust nobody. But yet they've changed it to this older woman in the show who suddenly becomes her mother figure. And I'm like, wait, none of this makes sense. Like, even
and they're friends. Like, it's not antagonistic
friends.
at all. They're
Exactly.
friends.
They become friends. And going back to when she decided to help Spike and Jet, it makes no sense at that moment for her character to save them, because she should not trust them as much based off of what we have seen and how her character is. Her character would not have trusted them at that point in time. And this episode should have been the thing that showed you why she is who she is, why she don't trust nobody, why she always has a backup plan, why she is so guarded and reserved around other people. But they butchered that and they killed it. And now Faye is just like, to me, a shell, and she's not as impactful as a character anymore.
Yeah.
They made her, again, as I stated, the most immature character. Like,
yes.
And her motivations become immature at this point. It's like, what are we doing, Faye? Like, because really, you could stay Faye Valentine and not care about your other life at this point, because you're really cool with the person who was your abuser. Like, the person who took advantage of you, you like really are cool with them. Like, very weird. And even when she finds the VHS tape, it's like snippets or whatever, and it's like, oh, like she says mom, and then she's like mother, and then like the episode ends or whatever. Though that was sweet and sentimental, again, like kind of how Bluish had said, the damage was already done as far as like, how pivotal can your backstory really be at this point? Like how can we really care as much when so much of it has already been portrayed in the show? You know,
I gotta say it because Silk ain't here, man. Season 2, dog. You gonna get it? Season 2.
I mean, yeah, there'll be more to be revealed, I'm sure, but like,
Dude, I mean, but it's like
I
you
don't
said,
think it'll be as much.
Man.
It don't hit as hard.
But yeah, man, it's like you said. She acts like a teenager instead of a grown woman in this show. To me, you know, like, you forgot your history, but that's no excuse for you to be so naive. She's very naive in this show, it seems like. Yeah. And so yeah, man, like this show, I'll be honest, it didn't do nothing for me. It at least was funny at the end. I did feel duped. I was like, this is so dumb. I ain't gonna lie, I gotta be honest with y'all. I laughed.
Iron Mink, yeah, that was funny.
Some Bebop
no, this episode has some humor. When Jet went to the when he was at the play and he's dancing. And you see Spike in the background, like getting beat up. That was cool.
Once again, Jet the best thing.
Jet the best thing in the show, man. Like I like how they let that scene happen where it's like, oh yeah, you went with the periwinkle or whatever type of flowers that the dude got, and he was like, yeah, whatever. And then like she looked at her husband and was like, Jet got those flowers, and she's like, and he was like, yeah, it's for Kimmy. And she looked back at him, and it was like, oh, that's nice, that's sweet. Like again, like. I take it back. He's not necessarily a deadbeat father. He is trying, but the whole thing is he has this ruined image that's not his fault. But you know, he's not Goku. But like at the same time, like they are giving him some leeway to like really try and make that right. Of course, it's all destroyed by the end of the show, but whatever.
Another funny moment in this episode was when you remember they got down to the planet and they split up. And Spike and Jet was in the bus, and the lady was like, "Oh, you guys are so cute."
Yeah. That was he did good. He did a good job.
yeah, he did a good job. Yeah,
that was so funny,
dude. And that's the thing. Like, I hit on this real quick. Spike and Jet, I love it. I love in this show. I'll be totally honest. It's not a lot of things that I love in the show, but I will say. The Spike and Jet moments were just great. I feel like even, and we'll talk about it when it comes to episode 10. But you know, I already knew the show was gonna be a little different. This one, I think they try to lean more into the whole brothers aspect, because in the original anime, after about 20 or so episodes, you finally get it at the very end. I feel like, you know, where they really care about each other. You know, they never say it though. Like this one, they say it more. They're more vocal about it, you know. I feel like.
I think Bluish kind of brought this up a little bit earlier, and maybe Ardot, you can speak to this too. But like, I felt like from when I first watched the series, Spike and Faye wound up relating more, even though Spike and Jet had more time together.
Yeah.
Spike and Faye had more serious conversations when things were all kind of like trying to hit the fan on his end. And I think, Faye leaves at a certain point, and it was like, their bond I felt was stronger. And I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've gone back and watched. But I will say the anime portrayal, not anime, the live action adaptation has more so pushed it to be Jet and Spike really making sense in the terms of like, they've spent the most time with each other. And Faye comes around too. Like I said, by the end of this, I do appreciate their characters together more so than anything else of the show. But yeah.
Yeah, and two, with that, this show has some moments that are just gold nuggets in this crap storm. In this crap storm. Now, I'll tell you a few of those gold nuggets. When we talked about the comparing of the scars, that's great. I love it. When that one scene where Faye was chilling and Spike was fishing, I love that. And Spike just chucked the junk into the water.
Yeah.
Great.
She's reading a porno mag and she's like, boobs or butt, girl. I'm like, fam, you just smashed the chick. Like, you probably know. Like, what are you talking about?
Great stuff. When they went bowling, I love that.
Yeah.
That was great.
That was a really good addition.
And that's what I'm saying. And I
think that was this episode where they went bowling, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember.
And they gave her.
Because they made because I thought that was cool. They gave her her birthday.
No, that's
it must be the next one. It must be the next one. I'm sorry.
Oh, that is
episode 8
because this one ends with her watching the VHS tape. That's right.
Right. That's right. And so, more quiet moments like that are in the anime made their way in, which I'm happy to see. But we'll talk about it, man. Let's get to episode 8, man.
Let's go ahead and go to number 8, which is Sad Clown A Go-Go. I definitely thought Henshin A Go-Go from Beautiful Joe for some reason, Brando.
I said it in my heart.
So Vicious storms into a medical compound to release Perot LeFou, a genetically enhanced but insane assassin that hates dogs. Hires him to kill Spike in exchange for an unlimited supply of red eye. The red eye apparently calmed him down or whatever. LeFou ambushes and seriously injures Spike, but the sight of Iron stops him from before the Bebop gang escapes. Spike was pretty messed up. He got caught on fire, so they had to throw the chem stuff on him to heal him. Jet learns from Woodcock that Spike is hiding secrets from him. LeFou hacks into Iron's neural system to send him a message and meet him on Earthland, which is an abandoned amusement park asteroid. Meanwhile, Vicious has Santiago beheaded and kills him out before single-handedly taking down the elders to take over the syndicate. And then we know Spike and LeFou fight, and Spike winds up winning. Go ahead.
I'll be honest. This episode was alright to me. I'll be honest. It was, the LeFou stuff. I enjoyed LeFou.
Okay, there we go.
I enjoyed LeFou. Yeah. Let me say that. I really like when they had him do the thing where he fighting Smite and he do the backflip.
Yeah. He was fighting Spike. He definitely did the Marvel aerial combo. Like,
yeah, they did that. Yeah, that was. I laughed when I saw that jump.
I was happy they did it because it's in the original with the shadow too.
Right. And the thing is he acted his butt off. LeFou, he acted his butt off. He was crazy. I loved it. Yeah. And yeah, they started off with the bowling. I like that. And yeah, man, it showed, I thought it was the LeFou stuff was great. I thought
it's a semi-threat. Like actually I kind of believe in the threat for some of it.
Yeah.
All the other extra details around it.
He was actual threat.
He felt like the most dangerous person in the show. Like they really gave him an intimidation factor that kind of almost turned it into like a horror movie. And in the first few moments where like Faye is off with Iron, and then like you see kind of a shadow come over the building.
Yeah, that was dude. I as far as the first stuff I like, was Vicious in this again? I know he let him out. Was there more Vicious stuff in this episode?
Yes, this was the episode where he took over the syndicate. So this is the episode where he kills Santiago. Santiago had like some type of the facial thing that we saw earlier in the show with Hakeem,
Face change.
Santiago had on looking like Vicious, and his mouth was taped up. So we were like, why is Vicious? We thought Vicious was playing along, and we know the double cross was supposed to happen from Miles, and then next thing you know, when he's beheaded, it's Santiago who's beheaded, and Vicious comes out.
Something about that, I like that part. I'll be totally honest because it was creative. It was greatly written. And I'll say this, and by no means do I love this interpretation of Vicious. I don't like it. The actor, he played his butt off. I give him that. He was acting. It just the writing and what they decided to do with Vicious was just
wrong.
It's not his fault that the character is bad. It's not his fault.
Because I think he's a great actor. I'll be totally honest with you. I think he's a great actor, especially he has it. He's an older cat, but he brings the intensity. But the problem is when he's intense, we see him be so weak that it doesn't hold up. That's the issue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because when he kills everybody in that room, I was like, okay.
That felt like Vicious.
That felt like
Vicious. And the thing about it is he's an overwhelming force. Like, right? He whenever he came out, like you said, that big Sephiroth energy, like that's how Vicious was. It's almost like, I don't know if y'all ever seen Hellsing or whatever, but like there's a character on like the main dude on Hellsing. Yeah, like him and Vicious to me, I relate them the same almost. Or almost like when you see Vash the Stampede in Trigun, before you know what Trigun is, and you just see images of Vash, you're like, oh, he look hardcore. It's like, yes, like Vicious is hardcore personified. When they started giving him all this extra stuff and made him fluffy, it was like, oh dang, they kind of messed him up.
Lemony Snicket vibes.
Yeah. I feel like if they would have told the actor to like, yo, be serious, be mean throughout the whole show, it would have been alright. But that's not the direction that they went with.
I'm also in agreement. I like a majority of this episode outside of, once again, the ending. And I hate it for a couple reasons. This was the episode where it's between this. No, episode 10 pissed me off. Episode 8 was the one where I'm like, my anger was starting to boil more so towards the ending, because I love this episode in the original. And in the original, once again, this is just a random one-off type of episode. There's not much with the overarching plot that's said. But of course, this is based off of Pierre Le Fou, which happens much later in the show. But I hated how they did his character, because the ending of it in the live action, if you remember, very similar, of course, to the anime. He stabs him in the leg, he starts crying, and for some reason he just presses a button and then just lets the man float upwards. That was stupid to me. I hated that. But I hated the fact that they didn't give an explanation, and as he's doing it, he was crying, mommy. And it's like, I hate that they don't explain that, because very briefly in the anime they do. Jet finds his backstory and he's like, look, all these experiments that they ran on him messed with his mind, so basically he started to regress mentally. It was like he became a kid and with high combat ability. And so when he got stabbed and he started to yell out mommy and all of that stuff, it was like a kid that you hit. Like if you hit a kid, he's gonna do that exact same thing, because mentally that's what kids do. So it made sense when they explained it, and you understand why it ended the way it does. And it looks completely stupid. If you don't know that, it just looks like he starts crying and crying out for his mom for no reason, and you don't know why it happens. But
even the stuff with the dogs.
Even with the dogs.
They didn't explain it. I mean, I see what you're saying, Blue. I see what you're saying. I mean, I loved it, but I totally get what you're saying, because if I didn't watch the show, I wouldn't know that. I would just think this guy was programmed to link up with dogs and junk.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the data.
I will say another L this episode took. Bro, why they leave Iron? They just left Iron, bro. They just
that was so stupid.
No offense to Iron as a dog, but it's like they neutered Iron as a character, and it's like, dang, the dog has so much personality in the anime, but it's like they don't really do much with him, and they only just show him in that scene to like get phase reaction and everything.
he in the show, he's a comedic relief character too.
Yeah.
And they did do some stuff like when Faye was doing battle scars and Faye was like, then I killed him. And then she was like, come on, help me out, buddy. He said, you know, that was fun. I mean, not the fact that I feel like Iron was there enough, you know, to be there as much as in the original show. But you just don't leave the boy. You don't just leave him.
that was
He's
tough,
straight
man.
up.
Cannot leave.
He's a part of the family, bro. He's a part of the
He's part of the
family.
family, yeah, man. But yeah,
I
as
didn't
far
like
as
that
this
either.
one, this is probably like my third. I like 3 episodes out this whole show, and the rest is just blah. Like,
Yeah.
I did like this episode though. I did.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the interaction with the elders and like giving Vicious, like making his father like the main head of the syndicate, and then Vicious killing him, and that's supposed to be something to me. But even though his father laughed at him while he was dying, it was like, you still are a weak boy. Like you still suck. Like, and then I think this episode ends with him going home and Julia, like he's covered in blood, and Julia sees him and is like, oh frick, and like Mao told him, like, and I don't know why like Dark Knight Return or Dark Knight, you know, just Joker from Dark Knight with Heath Ledger, that it's like every villain since then has always tried to be someone who plays off of that interpretation of the Joker. And I think they really tried to reinforce that here with Vicious too, where it was like,
That's a good point.
I didn't get none of that.
I got it with the outfit and then the hair. I got
because he gets a little bit more maniacal. It's not like he doesn't get evil or in the sense that he's just like murderous intent immediately out the gate. It's like, oh no, he's a crazy guy who probably is gonna kill you at some point, but he's gonna torture you first. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you know, it was
he literally embodies that.
It was at that moment when he was having the conversation with Julia, which comes back in episode 10, I believe. So the end of episode 8 and then on into episode 9, episode 10 with that conversation, that was the first time that I had almost felt like this is the Vicious that we should have seen from the beginning. Because I feel like at that point they were trying to make some type of connection where it was like he's losing ties to Julia, like Julia might have been his only thing keeping him somewhat sane, and now that's gone, he's on a whole nother evil wave. That's what we should have got from the jump though, which is my issue. But it's still more problems that we're gonna get into, but
All right, well, let's go on to episode 9, which we've referenced a lot. This is Blue Crow Waltz. No crow ever, but whatever. So without even having to read the description for this one, this is the backstory. This is Spike. This is Vicious, or in this show, this is Fearless and Vicious, showing their brotherhood as assassins. You understand, as far as the syndicate, how Spike got involved, how Spike left, who Julia was beforehand, and how her and Vicious got together. Spike betraying his brother by getting with his girl and then trying to escape with her, leave the syndicate, which you apparently can never leave, and all the stuff that happened in the front end with Anna. So yeah, let's talk about it. And for Brando, he says this is his favorite episode, so you should leave.
This is my favorite episode, and I'll tell you why. If I knew nothing about Bebop, this would still be the best episode. I feel like if I was watching this as a casual viewer, I think it turns as like a TV show episode. It works very well. But as a Bebop fan, I feel like this did what they did with Jet. It didn't change things. It just pushed deeper. It just dug deeper. Because in the show, we never really knew what happened between him and Spike and Vicious. You just got flashes, like you said. It was just, there was no dialogue. It was just pictures. We got, and so this really fleshed it out in I thought in a great way. And now, of course, it was a tough order for us to buy that Spike and Julia fell in love off a one night stand. And that was a tough sell still. But as far as the relationship between, because like I said, Julia doesn't matter. The thing that matters was Spike and Vicious's relationship. And that's what this episode really highlighted. and I like how they took the angle that Spike cleaned up after Vicious. I
Yeah,
like
he
that.
was he was big brother Spike.
I thought that was very creative because even in the anime, which we just started watching again, you'll see flashbacks of them shooting, and then they be looking back and smiling at each other. It really showed more of that, which was cool, and it showed that they had a code. No kids. But then it showed that Spike did some dirt, which I like because we know that Spike was in this gang, but we never get to see the dirt that he had to do. We really didn't get to see it. And so this showed that, okay, the Syndicate ain't just Team Rocket. They out here killing people, and even to protect his boy, he broke his own code. He shot a kid. You know what I'm saying? So he's got red in his ledger. I like all of that. The scene where he went and cleared house solo, I was like, that was on some John Wick stuff. That was on some John Wick stuff. And one take, it was panning shot like Daredevil.
That was Daredevil hallway scene type.
Yeah, just like this. Amazing. And the thing with this show that I saw was that, like The Mandalorian, each episode was written and directed by different people. Okay, so I feel like whoever tackled this one, I think the writers. I'm gonna give this to the writers. The writers of this episode nailed it. I think. I love this episode. Julia is when we see her sing. This should have been the first time we saw Julia. We shouldn't have seen Julia the entire show. This should have been the first time we seen Julia. It would be the first time that Spike and Vicious saw Julia, and how her singing and stuff. That should have been her introduction. But yeah, man, I really enjoyed this episode. I don't know how.
I like how they really they do place Julia in this instance in a role that does define Spike and Vicious, right? Because when she starts singing in the club, everybody stops. It's needle drop quiet, and we see Vicious and Spike at their table looking at her, and you can tell both of them have strong feelings. Like off rip, just from their facial expressions, you could tell that they feel some type of way. But Spike says, that's an amazing voice or whatever, and Vicious is like, that's an amazing face or like woman, like they go from there. But you get immediately like they both like her. Like it's super obvious that they kind of telegraph that. And then as they dive deeper into the backstory, I mean, no, I don't like that Vicious is kind of like hamstrung as this rich, entitled gang kid who just assumes everything's supposed to come to him and everything. But as you say, Brando, giving him the context of Spike in a sense kind of being his cleanup guy and feeling indebted to this family that took him in to help him out, he's gonna be loyal in that regard. I understood that. And of course, the action scene, and I didn't mention for the LeFou episode, but I thought the action in that one was pretty hard too. But overall, I think that this episode did just at least it did what those flashbacks did in the anime. It was supposed to be like, oh, this is why. Like, and like you get it. Like so with this episode, it was that whole this is why. And we understood that. Seeing some of the characters, I mean, Grant to me was kind of irrelevant the whole show. Like they give him center focus, but then they take it away immediately. And Anna just really, like I say, she stands out even more so because she's the one she's been here the whole time. So you even see why her reactions from seeing Spike and I go by Spike Spiegel now. Like, yes, in this situation, it all makes sense at that point because of how she was involved and them just giving context to all that. I appreciate it. Overall, I do think it did its job as far as like being the backstory episode.
I guess like some of it might have been depicted maybe better than the anime just because of certain scenes, and that might be just because I'm rusty on watching it, but I did enjoy some of it.
I remember one scene in anime in particular that they expanded was when, you always see the rose fall in the photo, and you get it because in this scene, they were supposed to run away together or whatever, and that's when Spike went up to Anna, was like, "Hey, I need names, I need all this junk," and she was like, "You're not gonna make it or whatever." But yeah, and his interaction with his dad in the past, you know, getting if they was gonna take that angle with Vicious that he's a troubled teen, he had a troubled upbringing, and you know,
Oh yeah, my
that's
father
the way
don't love
he,
me basically.
yeah, father doesn't love me. You know, I'll say this: his father was great. I thought he was great. The actor, I love that junk. He was more like Vicious than our Vicious.
Yeah,
He talked down on him so bad. I said, "Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's that good. That's
Has
that
the
stuff we
genes. It
need.
has a foundation.
Yeah, that's that
yeah.
mean. That's that meanness we need." But yeah, I mean, as far as you know, and they showed them at behaving. To be honest, this Vicious is not the Vicious that we're used to. But this
Oh,
Vicious seemed more like outside of the spoiled brat kid thing. When he did that night to that other gang, I kind of like it. I kind of dug it, to be totally honest. He
yeah.
was acting purely out of emotion. He's behaving like a thug, just like somebody down here in Atlanta would. Be like, oh nah, man, they disrespected us. They
You stepped
disrespected
on my
us.
shoes, bro. You
Nah,
stepped on my
nah, we ain't
shoes.
doing that. We gonna pull up.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna lie, that was gangster. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, okay, I'll buy that. That Vicious would do that. Um, but you know,
but okay.
it's
On that though, from a contextual standpoint, this is again why I thought Julia's again still kind of weird because she has to know that he's a part of this gang. Like no
yeah,
one's kept this a secret from her. No one
yeah.
has said, "Yo, he's
You
a nice
know,
guy. He's a great guy." She knew. So when Vicious tracks dude down in the street, practically runs him over, beats him to sleep, she's like, my hands were shaking. It's like,
You're like
fam, like,
crying
what
and
did you
crap.
think Mans was doing? Like,
But what Anna
there's
told
never
her,
been a secret in this show.
Anna told her, they said they're bears. You
Yeah,
know, you wave them, they're fun to wave at, but don't roll down the window. She knew that.
yeah,
Even Spike, you know, she was like, he seemed kind of intense. Spike was like, oh, you haven't seen him intense.
yeah,
Like, so Julia sucked, man. Julia sucked. Look, I'm
yeah.
getting to it. I've been waiting to get
yeah,
here. Julia
yeah.
sucked in the show. I don't know why she had his lip job. It was so distracting, bro. Her lip looked like Homer Simpson. But look at them lips, bro. Look, the whole show she got duck face.
It's true.
Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, bro. Yeah,
Yeah,
Julia ruined the show, and we about to get to why.
yeah.
Julia and
Episode
Vicious. I
10.
think Julia and Vicious are the two things that just really
Yeah.
destroyed this show. Like,
So, Supernova Symphony, episode 10.
Hold on, real
Oh,
quick.
go ahead, go for it,
So,
go for it,
so,
go for it.
episode 9 is the episode where I think I was
No scrotums.
none, surprisingly. Episode 10 is my maddest. This is my second maddest. As a
Really?
Cowboy Bebop fan, if I take myself out of that, this probably would have been my favorite. But to me, episode 9 poked so many plot holes in there that didn't make sense to me that it kind of, to me, that's the point where the story almost falls apart a little bit. Like the fact that the father just knew about what Spike did. I don't have a problem with anything Spike did in that whole show. Like you said, Brando, it's a little bit of a hard sell coming from the anime, because in the anime we know that there's two parts to this. Vicious initially tried to get the man killed, and then Julia nursed him back to health, which is where you understand the relationship. It's a hard sell to only see them dancing one time and then the one night stand thing. Whatever.
Yeah.
I have a problem with the fact that the father pulls up on Vicious and is like, "Oh, it's so amazing." He knew everything.
Yeah.
Everything. He knew what Spike did. He knew about the plan. He knows everything. But somehow, when it comes to Julia, he didn't know nothing. When it comes to the fact that they were going to kill the elders, he didn't know nothing. Suddenly, he has selective information. When you know, when they're making this giant plot against the syndicate, suddenly the syndicate does not know. There's that. There's the stuff with Julia that doesn't really make sense to me, because like you said, she should know what's up with these syndicate folks. Because Anna told her not to mess with the syndicate.
Anna told her not to get with them.
And
she has
Spike,
this thing when
Now Spike,
when she gives her the room and she's like, this is your room. She's like, oh, she thought she was getting fired, and it was like, oh, you must know that I'm with Vicious. and she never completes that sentence. And it was like, oh my God, you know, you got me my own room. I'm gonna be the main singer, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, dog, it's like I appreciate how Bluish does not like this episode. At the same time, it does start to crumble some of the ethos of Cowboy Bebop. Like
I see
it just makes some of the characters like lame.
But I see it from both perspectives
ahead.
because if I didn't know Cowboy Bebop, I would really, really like this show.
Yeah.
It's just I feel like as a fan, I know how deep the tie can be, even with the little bit that they show between Julia and Spike. Because like Brando said, you see maybe an episode and a half of Julia. Mm-hmm. But in that time span, you understand why Spike is so attached to her. You understand the relationship between the love triangle that exists between her, Spike, and Vicious. In this show, you didn't necessarily.
He just spit some game.
Yeah, they didn't.
He literally was in the bed, like they already smashed. Yeah. He's in the bed. He was like, "I love you ever since I first heard you," something like that. And I was like, "Yo,
corny.
what?" Like
it was corny.
Yo,
what?
It was
a little corny to me.
And she immediately was like down for whatever. Like, I mean, he was like, "Yeah, we should run. We should escape. If he ever finds out, it's gonna be a problem."
Love, bro. What's wrong with y'all, bro? Y'all believe in love?
Nah, that's lust, dog. I don't want to hear that.
No, it wasn't. But it was the love stuff. You know, this isn't a romance. It's not that kind of show.
Part of why I also hate this, because it's going to be a great segue, is because of what happens in episode 10. Part of why I hate 9 is because of 10.
Bruh, let's get to it.
Thank you. Let's talk about episode 10, the season finale, if you will. Supernova Symphony. Vicious kidnaps Kimmy. Who would have thought that the little daughter that they introduced gets kidnapped? Holding her hostage at an abandoned church. The church, all right. Jet and Faye learn that in order to rescue Kimmy, they would have to exchange Spike for her. A reluctant Spike agrees. After a fight in the church, Vicious duels Spike, and the fight ends with Julia betraying Spike by shooting him, causing Spike to fall from the church's glass, abandoning Spike for putting her life in danger. Faye leaves as well to look for answers about her past life. A battered Spike is later met by a child hacker named Radical Ed, who offers him a bounty.
Oh man.
Who wants to rip into this episode first? Who wants to rip into this?
I'm just hurt. My anger is gone.
That's it. Right, at this point.
It's nothing but pain, bro. Go ahead, Blue.
All right, cool.
Oh man.
Let me first start with how the point I brought up earlier about Jet's daughter. I love Jet's daughter. I love that angle. I hate how she's used in this show, because it felt like she suddenly just became a plot device to have this massive conflict between Jet and Spike that never really existed. That's my big problem when it comes to the end of Spike and Jet's relationship in this show or in this season, is that to me it doesn't fully make sense. Jet for some reason, like it's shown, or at least Spike is like, oh yeah, no, if I tell him I'm Syndicate, she's gonna hate me. No, Jet just hates that you suddenly kept secrets from him, so now he's suddenly mad and all of that stuff. But then they have this imaginary, I guess, a car scene that never is shown, where they're like, hey Spike, we're gonna come up with this plan where you're gonna hop out the trunk and start just shooting people. I'm gonna just shoot everybody. We're gonna make this giant rescue, right? That's never shown. Is there any type of like forgiveness that happens? Clearly not, because scenes later, they are tied up in the church, and this man, Jet, still hates Spike. And I'm just like, wait, what is going on with their relationship at this point? And then we get into the real rub of the episode. The rub of the episode.
Let's go.
Wait, can I, before we jump away from Spike and Jet?
Oh, please.
I just got a little rebuttal. I totally get what you're saying, because Spike and Jet never had a conflict in the anime, not really. So this one introduced it, and I was getting the feeling that there was going to be season 2 at this point anyway. So, what happened between them? I ain't gonna lie. In terms of the context of Netflix Cowboy Bebop, I totally understand it. I'll be totally honest because at this point, that girl is all Jet has. That's all he has. That's all he really cares about. We see throughout the whole show, he's trying to get a toy for her. He's trying to make it to recitals. And let's keep it a buck. It's his daughter. Like, I don't care about none. You know, is that he like? I don't care about none of y'all. That's my kid. Like, so I get it. I get it why he's pissed off at Spike. I totally get it. Through his actions, I feel like, you know, they're not okay. But what kind of pushed it over the line for me though was when he was like, and it was felt out of character for Jet. Is when he said, you know, next time I see you, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
That was too far for me in terms of their conflict. Cause I'm like, this dude, and his face says it. This dude saved your tail countless times. You know, yeah, he like. I mean, I can see if he said we're done. If he just says, you know, we're done. But him saying that to Jet, I mean to Spike, I was like, nah, that's a little bit too far. That's a little bit too much for me.
Even for me, when they have Spike in the car and Faye is like, all right, what's the play? And it made one of the ultimate sins when Faye is walking away and said, I cannot carry this that weight.
I was so
like,
angry.
That's disgusting.
That is so
disgusting that she just said that. That was so lame. But like the interactions right there was like, okay, yo, Jet has a plan. Like they pull up. He said, now, Spike. Spike comes out, guns blam, foul, 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 foul. You telling me you can't tell Faye? Yo, come with the ship. It made so much more sense if it wasn't just a power of friendship play where Faye was like, no, I gotta come through.
Guys, I mean, I see what y'all saying. But think about if you was writing for a show. They doing this because they trying to make a wow finale. That's why they doing it, man. That's why they did that.
Like, I don't care why they doing it. It's wrong. Like them wrong.
The finale feels like a CW show. That's what I feel. Like I just watch. Everybody's all mad at each other. They go their separate ways, and then a dude is drunk. Yeah, it's the season one finale. Should we?
Classic.
But I do get what you're saying, and that's why. As a if I tried to look at this from two perspectives, as someone who comes into this first time, no backstory, nothing, I can understand why that would be dope, and it does make sense. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. I'm not saying
what part is dope. Well, you said dope.
I didn't say it was dope. I didn't say it was dope. I'm just saying
some way.
We on episode 10, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, that mess there.
You're back. I'm not saying it was dope. I'm just saying I understand why Jet was pissed. I get it.
I'm just saying it would make sense. It would make sense.
That mess was trash.
However, my issue. Should we get to the rub? Can we get to the rub?
Bro.
All right. So, we have this whole section where Vicious starts monologuing. Vicious monologuing. Wow. He monologues to Spike about how. You know, I made a spot in our family crypt just for you. You were my brother. You know, I loved you. I don't think he said that.
I didn't care about that.
Nobody cared about that. You know, and of course, Faye came to the rescue, blah, 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 whatever. And then we get this is the part where I legit wanted to, like, break my screen and just, like, never see this again. When Julia comes in, and she shoots Vicious, I was like, okay, obviously this is different from the original because Julia never showed up at this point. By the way, the fight between Spike and Vicious, it wasn't it, man. It wasn't it. But you know,
it was very
it was very subdued compared to the anime. But when Julia comes in and she starts going on this power trip,
and
like why would I stop when I have the syndicate in my hands? Because at that point I was almost cussed, because I was like, wait, are you saying?
You know what? I'm a rebuttal that I actually liked it. I'm gonna be real with you.
I hated that.
No, you didn't.
I hated it so much.
I'm gonna tell you the reason why. I'm gonna tell you the exact reason why. I'm let Blue continue.
I got you.
But I'm gonna tell you why that ain't the worst part. That was actually good.
I will be honest with you. I somewhat agree. It would have been a good twist had they not let her keep speaking. Because when she kept speaking, I was like, no, none of this makes sense. So you're telling, she goes on
It
this
makes
long
perfect
rant.
sense.
It
makes perfect sense.
She go on this long rant where she tells Spike, she's like, Spike, how could you leave me with him? You knew I was with him. How could you leave me there? And then she's like, Vicious, you're weak. How could you be with a man that slept, or be with a woman that slept with your best friend? How?
Yes.
How?
She went savage. That's
And
why I
then
call
she
myself
shoots
savage.
Spike.
So let me. All
I
right,
was like,
here we
what the
go.
heck is this? What the heck
All
is
right, so
going
here we
on?
go. That's the best part ever, and that's why I call myself savage. It wasn't even the bad part. Based on what we got from that, it shocked me, but it did not surprise me that she was basically saying, all right, I am going to use the syndicate to my own means. Basically, I've been thotting myself out for all these years to this guy, and then you mean to tell me that my side dude, 'cause technically that was her side dude. My
Yeah.
side dude has been alive for the past 3 years. He didn't come get me. He's supposed to be fearless. He's supposed to be fearless and didn't come get me. She became a savage. That's what she became.
You know what though? You know what
He's
though?
going to be the weakest
Listen,
villain in season 2.
look,
She
Yes,
got
I'm not
no
even,
sir.
hands.
look, I'm not even saying this
No
to troll,
hands.
but unfortunately, in the context of this show, not the original,
Yes,
it
that
makes
was
sense.
good.
And it makes
It
sense. I'm
made
not
sense.
saying it's good. It's not good. It's
No,
not good.
no, no,
But
no,
it
no.
makes
Like,
sense
like,
that
like I,
that
like,
Julius
like
is
I was
whole.
saying in the
But
beginning,
the thing
the
is,
the characters are wrong.
yeah,
So
the
based
characters
on
are
what we
totally wrong.
got, that
Hold
was an excellent. That's the part the most Julia got as development that we got. That she finally realized that
but that's the problem though,
I
bro.
am
That's the
not going to be
problem,
just a
bro.
side chick. I am going because, like she said, the vicious. No one supposed to see the elders anyway, so I can keep you here for as long as I need be, and I can handle
She
everything.
keeps him like a chained dog, a
Yeah,
scared chained dog.
just
Vicious.
Bruh,
as he
they
should.
totally
Just as he should.
castrated Vicious
It
completely.
was at that
So,
point they
Completely.
chopped them
Was
off. They chopped them off at
completely.
that
It
point.
was
They're
uh,
gone.
but
Here's
They're
my
look though,
gone.
question
but
to
Both
look
all
of
of you
though,
them
guys.
gone.
but
Here's my question to all of you guys. Why do y'all expect even more? That's what I'm saying.
okay.
The trash that we got from episode 1 through 8. Well, you know what?
Well,
Except for episode 5 and episode 9, this makes perfect sense. I don't see why this just made y'all
well,
go crazy.
to me,
Episode
because
3 and
here's the
4.
thing,
I
bro.
was
Here's
already
the
there.
thing. 8, and 9. Other than that, you can throw the whole show away. To be totally honest with you, but it's like, bro,
Episode 10
the
shenanigans,
problem with
how
this
it
is
went.
that they're trying to make Julia into something she is not at all. You know what I'm saying? I kept saying this over and over again that Julia is not an important. Her character, her traits, her personality traits, all that's not important. The important thing is Vicious and Spike, and she's just a plot device in the middle to create a conflict. Who she is as a person is not important to the show. We don't even know.
The
It's not
so
Brandozilla.
important.
The
here's
Brandozilla. They ruined space.
You're
It's already
she's
over.
basically replacing Vicious, is
They
what I'm
can,
yeah.
saying.
they
And
can
she
add
can, and
in.
I'll tell you why she can replace Vicious. This is why she can replace Vicious. This Vicious, they already showed us that this is not the guy. This is not the dude that you seen in the anime. First of all, right? He ain't got no hands no more. Because guess what? After this fight, him and Vicious don't really throw hands. They throw hands at the final thing, but it's like 1-2, and that's it, really, to be totally honest.
Exactly.
So what if they
let
did that
me
with
tell
him and
you
Julia?
let me tell you what's gonna happen. Let me tell you what's gonna happen,
Okay.
right? Because
What you
this
think?
is
Because you might be
Iron
thinking,
Cage.
the
This
man,
is I mean
the
this
man
is
may be
Luke.
thinking the same thing I'm
You
thinking.
probably we probably
I
are.
have,
Yeah, I have a theory of how this is gonna go. This is Luke Cage season 1 when Mahershala Ali gets killed and the auntie takes over the business. And Mahershala was the best character in the show as Cottonmouth, and then all of a sudden they just give us a whole nother villain. All right, the reason why Vicious is still alive and he's not dead is because Vicious is gonna kill Julia. Like this whole thing is motivation for him midway through season 2 to make some grand elaborate escape and he's gonna kill Julia, and then Spike gonna have to kill him. Like it's still gonna lead to the same Cowboy Bebop ending. It's still gonna lead to the same one.
But they've already changed that
I'm
though.
gonna
The motivation's gone.
The motivation's
Yeah,
gone.
it's gone.
I think
it's totally gone,
She was
guys.
like,
because look,
she
the
told
reason why-
him.
Why, Blue? Tell him.
It's a dream that she needed to wake up from.
Damn.
She don't love him no more, and she told him that.
exactly.
So she don't care about
Exactly.
Spike no more. And the thing is, in the anime, the reason why Spike said, you know, screw it, I'm about to kill all of them, is because they killed Julia while they was trying to escape together. Why would he try to go make this escape with Julia now? She wants to be head of the city.
No. Forget Julia. That's what I'm saying. Forget Julia. Spike has a grudge against all of them now. He wants to. He gonna want to kill all of them now.
Yeah.
Oh, he won't want to kill Julia now.
Here's my theory. I think Spike gonna kill Julia. I think he gonna have to do it.
Yeah, I think that could happen too.
Because
I can think that could happen too.
He realized that Death's gonna continue to follow him wherever he goes. He's going to kill Julia. You looking like he just didn't see 10 hours of shit.
I did.
I feel like this what
you gotta take out the original, just like with the you gotta take that all out. The whole
if you take out that motivation, the only way I think you can get Spike to go back is if instead of Julia being killed and sending him on his revenge mission, one of the Bebop crew gets
Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that.
Killed, and then he said, "I'm gonna kill them all." That's what Spike is gonna do. Which I ain't gonna lie.
I like that.
I ain't gonna lie.
That's better.
I'm not even gonna front with y'all. I ain't gonna lie.
That's gonna be crazy.
I ain't gonna lie. That's kind of delicious. I ain't gonna lie. Because, and the reason why I say that, because in the original anime, I don't care about Julia, to be totally honest. But as a fan of Bebop, if somebody kills Jet or somebody kills Faye or Ed, I'm gonna be mad. And then if I can Spike mad too, and he said I'm gonna kill them all, I'll be like, you do that, boy. You go do that.
Hey, I'm gonna go the petty route. Since Jet black, you know what they're gonna happen to him. He gonna be dead. They're gonna kill Jet off. And
You talking about Jet, the black male, because he's a black.
He's black and he's a male. Add that to the stupid counter. So,
the dialogue is so trash. When
theory.
Faye pulls up and she says, "Here comes the ouch." I'm like, nigga, who says this?
Here's the theory. What if, since we got the CW ending to this show, we have it where we go through season 2 where they bring their relationship back together. The Bebop crew comes back together. And then something happens where the syndicate sets up Jet and they kill Jet. I hate this freaking show. I hate this freaking show so much.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen, bro. Bro, let me tell you something, guys. Listen.
Man.
What's up? What's up?
Netflix doesn't like women.
Oh, but well, no, they love women, bro. There could be no weak women, bro. That's why
there's no such thing. There's no such thing as weak women.
There's no weak women. There's no damsels. Bro, let me tell y'all something. Speaking
Everyone
of women,
in this one is.
Bro, speaking of women, bro, I suffered through a lot in this show. And I spent
I know where you go.
That said, I want to punch a wall. It wasn't what happened to Vicious. Wasn't the Julia stuff. Bro,
welcome.
Welcome. Bro, let me tell y'all a story. I'm on YouTube, bro. I see IGN post an article. I'm like, wow, they just spoiled something for me. But you know what? They just use a cosplayer. They just put some clip right there that you know what they're talking about.
Oh, that's what you thought that was?
You didn't think that was real?
I thought that was a cosplay. My horror. When I watched
that was
the
real
show,
the first time I saw
it. The first time I seen it.
I felt sick.
Spike.
Guys, I felt like I was gonna throw up. And I saw that wasn't Ed. That was Fred. Y'all remember Fred from Nickelodeon? Hi guys.
Oh wow, that's a cut. That's a deep cut.
Bro, that's who that I felt sick, bro, when I saw Ed. I was
Well,
like,
I'm gonna tell
wanted
you
to
something
punch.
that's gonna make
I
you
was like, I'm
sick.
so angry. Right, that was the worst casting, worse than Vicious, worse than anything. She looked horrible, horrible, bro. It looked
She
like they
looked
put a
just like
wig on somebody
Ed.
on a
I said it.
Netflix,
I said it.
a cat at Netflix. He had a niece that liked to act, and they just threw a wig on her, bro. Horrible, bro. Oh my god, bro.
I'm gonna be
Well, I'm gonna
honest
say
too.
something that's gonna make you be sick. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Bro,
She's
bro,
the
I
second.
already know what you about to
Pause
say.
her voice.
I already know what you about to
She's the
say,
second best on that show.
bro.
She sounded just like Ed.
Anybody, bro,
She didn't
it's
look
like
the
say,
part,
bro.
but she
Anybody can
sounded
do
just
that,
like
bro. Anybody can do that, bro.
So-
But the man,
Just
yeah,
like
she,
her.
yeah, she did the physicality. Yes, anybody
I'm
can
talking
do
about
it.
her voice. The way that she
Look
modulated her voice, it sounded.
terrible.
Now she looks trash now.
And
She
I
looks
keep it a
trash.
buck. And I keep it a
Bro,
buck.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Between her and Jet,
Bro,
they
I keep
steady.
it a buck, bro. It's like
I would die on that ship
it's
with
not
you.
even the fact that she's a white girl now. All right, it's just literally they went to Party City, found a red wig, threw it on somebody.
I had no problem with
It
that.
was
I had no
so
problem with that.
bad,
So
so bad. I
That's-
was like, who is this? Because I'm checking for a look. I'm checking for a short, little, skinny brown girl. I'm like with red hair. I'm like, where's she at? What
No.
at?
What
It
the?
was so bad, bro.
Again,
It was
you
so
have
bad.
seen a whole bunch of shenanigans in life. You thought that Ed was going to be brown?
Bro.
No.
my only issue, I don't even have a problem more so with Ed, but it really goes back to the main point of the show. What do you want to do? Do you want to keep it faithful to the anime and have it look horrible like it did? Or do you want to adapt this? And that is my issue. Even the part with Julia would have made even more sense if you made the slight change where she is a syndicate agent, which is exactly what she was in the show.
She was in the show.
It would have made even more sense.
And I'm going to
Small.
go with Blue. This has been my whole thing. The show is half-hearted.
What you want to do?
They did not. They tried to teeter, or they made choices. They either said, I don't want to make Faye a femme fatale, but I'm going to include obsessive nudity and cussing in it. Let's make it diverse. I'm gonna put Jet. The only thing that worked out. In their half-heartedness. I don't need to get everybody. Let's put some diversity. Let's get Jet. Let's make him black. Thank God that he sounded and act like. But the whole style of the show, let's give it the style and the flair, but let's just add pieces to it. Let's put everybody in it. Let's make them look the part, but let's change Julia up. Let them be married. Let's put Vicious in there. Vicious hair. The only time his hair looked good. I know y'all went on episode 9. Episode 9.
Yeah.
The best episode because he actually had the long hair. Why didn't they keep that? It was long and straight. Why didn't they just take the ponytail out and keep it there? How did he put Soul Glow in his head? Why did he do that? Why did he do that? Everybody looked the part. So they chose one episode for everybody to look the part. Julia finally sings how she's supposed to sing, but then you fast forward and she doesn't do things. So it's like that's what I'm saying. It was half-hearted.
You shouldn't have made Julia
go all
sing.
the way and include everything, or don't do it.
That was so stupid. You shouldn't have made Julia sing. I care. Nobody cares about that, bro.
Yeah, man. But the thing is too is like if we going on characters, I'll be told I don't care, man. I thought John Cho did a good job. I think he was.
Yeah, I thought the Spike was decent.
I thought Spike did good.
He did
but
decent.
the only issue I have with his Spike. This is the only issue I have with his Spike. Is I don't know whether he was feeling great that day. I don't know because it was the writing. I don't know what happened. But whatever happened on episode 9 need to keep happening because he behaved more like Spike in that episode than other. I mean, he was
the writing. It had to been the writing, fam.
It had to be the writing because he was especially.
They should have started off with that episode. That's what I'm saying.
And the thing is like, what was it, man?
That's what angers me so.
Yeah, I mean, he was great in that
because
one.
Nobody is like episode 9. Nobody is like that in that show.
Yeah.
None of the trio is like that. Why did?
Well,
So
there was
like,
no trio in episode 9. It was just Spike and Vicious and all them. I mean,
But still,
okay,
though,
yeah,
like
but the main
the
three
themes
that you
of
gonna
that
spotlight,
episode,
the
though.
theme,
Yeah.
none of them, they got worse. Like they completely, like going through that. You supposed to be more vicious. If you find out your girl
That's what I'm saying.
You got
That's what I'm
punched by your
saying.
dad. He supposed to have that crow on his back that he shot.
Like immediately in
He
episode
killed
9 is when he
Julia,
finds out that Shorty is cheating on him with Spike. She dies, bro. Vicious is supposed to kill her right then and there, and that makes everything else make sense, bro. Like it literally, like you wipe the whole Julia sideline off. You have a crazy Vicious who's gonna get even crazier, and you have a Spike who has grief and guilt encompassing him.
Like, so when I saw episode 9, I was like, they could have even kept her alive, but even tortured her. Like he just keeping her alive just to torture her because he's vicious. Like it was so much stuff they could have did and still kept the spirit of the anime into it. Spike's supposed to be more moody because Vicious told him she chose me. I mean, I would.
Let's not forget.
Carry on.
Let's not forget how they slapped everybody in the face with that end scene. Because after they had the scene before Ed, I think it's before Ed. If you remember, the words at the bottom said, "See you soon, Space Cowgirl."
It did.
It did.
Yeah.
Go back.
No.
You see the
I
end
didn't
of
see
that.
that. I must have stopped looking, bro.
The end words at the bottom says, "See you soon, Space Cowgirl."
Wow. I'm not going to go back and watch it, but
You know you're gonna watch it.
I'm not going to
look away from
Hey,
it.
yo.
I
You can't
mean,
look away from it, bro. It's
man.
bro, it's like, and the thing is,
that's what I'm saying.
And it makes sense though. After you see what Julia does, it makes sense as to why we see her so freaking much in this entire season. You know, they were trying to build her up, but even still, dude, I don't care, man. Like she's not.
Her running the syndicate doesn't do anything for me. Like it doesn't.
She's not a fun character, bro. Like even Vicious, like we say, big Sephiroth energy. We like to see bad guys do bad things because they just hard. You don't get that from Julia. Like Julia,
because Vicious, as we mentioned earlier, Vicious is the foil of Spike, right?
Yeah,
they not necessarily heroes or anything, but he's a foil for Spike. So what is he now? And what is Julia the Spike now? Like none of this stuff is just two enemies now, and one of the enemies has just been disregarded completely for the most part. And now you have this other antagonist.
It's 3 because if Jet sees Spike again, he gonna kill him. So
man, whatever, dog.
It's 3.
We know what that means. We know what that means.
They're gonna kiss and make up. In episode 1 of season 2, Jet and Spike is gonna be cool, bro.
They're gonna be
Jet got a broken leg.
And then
whatever, dog.
Why is Ed not on the Earth? Like it's just they already screwed.
That's a big.
That's another big thing. It's like they put her around Iron to like give her context as to why she knows all their names and stuff like that. But even then, it's like
I remember in the previous episode, Ed was giving them intel. He mentioned so he knows about them. So I mean,
not the same, man.
It's not. Bro.
And I'll be honest. Like I know Brando, like y'all said, Ed looked bad as a character. To me, it ain't even bother me because I already kind of checked out. So like, I just wanted her to be like, I just wanted her to be goofy. Just be goofy and say Spike Spiegel and all that type of stuff. I'm cool with that, and she did that fine. She did that fine.
Oh, that's the least of your problems.
Lord, you look like a TikToker, bro. Vicious. I will not accept.
No one noticed. No one noticed.
But listen, without respect,
we still traumatized off of Vicious change like he's Jesus.
That is some dude.
We still see him like he changed like he Jesus.
When I tell
you, basically gonna be playing Russian roulette every day. No, I trust me.
She punked him so hard. I've never seen that.
Ed came out bald headed. I didn't care. But by the end, I mean. Julia basically Vicious. She should have put her hair straight down. That would have been fine.
If Julia comes back with white hair, I'm like, oh, she the real Vicious. She the real Vicious.
She become Vicious. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And
Yeah, like she take his sword.
She's gonna take his sword, but she's gonna pull a Ray Skywalker, bro. It can be Ray Skywalker. She gonna
She knows
pull the
everything.
sword. She gonna have the crow.
Well, that's
bro.
my new
She
plot.
gonna-
Yeah,
she gonna have,
the crow.
Bruh.
she gonna have them
Bruh,
little
that's my
zigzags
new
underneath
plot.
the eyes right there. Them zigzags,
That's
but
my new
dark.
plot.
She gonna have all of. She like I'm
That's
vicious
not
now.
nasty.
Julia
They gonna make Spike and Vicious team back up to defeat the ultimate evil that is Julia.
No. Julia's going to kill Vicious and assume his role. I promise you that.
It's
Do
already
not be
happened.
surprised if
She
Netflix
already
make
assumed his role. She already assumed his role.
she gonna have her hair straight down. She gonna
kill Anna
She
for
gonna-
some reason. Like they just gonna kill for no reason. Like I don't understand what season 2 is going to be.
You
At
gonna
this
see
point,
them evil duck lips. You gonna see them evil duck lips and straight here.
this is just alternate reality. Like the whole thing has been alternate
It's all a
reality since the
simulation.
get-go. But like this is super alternate reality. I'm like, oh
That's
y'all not even trying no more. Even though like I don't even know if we gonna get bang. Like I don't think we gonna. I don't know.
Oh, you're
I
gonna
don't
get
know
that.
at this point. Like
You're gonna
like
get
if
that,
we
but
get
it's
it,
gonna
it's
be-
not. What's it gonna mean, Brandon?
Julia. It's gonna be Julia. She gonna say bang.
Oh my gosh!
No.
Like, and this is like now
No.
we pass we
Right.
in overall opinions now. Like we can talk freely
Right.
about just how we feel about
Julia's
everything.
gonna become the true Vicious, just like the anime, and Spike's gonna have to kill her. Point blank. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen.
I just want to say,
Because like he said, she said, you made me this way. You kept me like here. You kept me over here. And I know what I need.
Which is
So
crazy
stupid.
levels of
That was
victim blaming, by the way. It's like,
big
yo,
levels.
victim blame.
Big
I was
levels.
like, yo, why is she
You
blaming
did
him?
this
She's
to me.
crazy.
You
I was like, he
did
didn't do
this.
nothing
I
to
leave
you.
now.
He literally did
I got
nothing
the
to
whole
her.
syndicate
Her whole
now.
thing was we could leave. If you want to leave, why would you want to be attached to the syndicate still?
Right.
He was trying to get out.
Matter of fact, if they do a director's cut, when she shoot Vicious, when she shoots Spike and he falls out, she'll be a crow just flies on her shoulder. That would be so.
But literally, Spike offers
my
her one
gosh.
last time while they're right there. Spike says, "We can leave right now."
Right now,
So,
no.
right? Literally, all they had to do was pull the
He
trigger
said,
on Vicky
"You
one
made-
last time,
He
and the
said,
show was
you
over.
made me. She
show
played the
literally
big
been over.
you guys. She said, I'm a product of both of you guys. She's
Yeah.
gonna
So stupid. That's
she's
some
going to become vicious.
Yeah, like it's
He's going to
they
the
really want to
that
go
we
to
want.
uncharted territories for no
That
reason,
we
bro.
want.
Like
She
I
said,
don't understand why.
she
And
And
said,
even
so,
Faye
man.
dipping out, like they make Faye dipping out seem like it doesn't carry so much weight anymore. It's like you gonna go back to Earthland, you gonna figure out what was up with the house on the poster or whatever. But like,
They're gonna be season 2. It's gonna.
I mean,
be
yeah.
season 2. It's
Yeah,
gonna
they
be
already
season 2.
confirmed that. They ain't worried about
Yeah.
that. That's all
It's but as far as my thoughts of this show, man, it's like this show keeps saying it's a dream, bro. It don't happen. It didn't
Simulation.
happen. It's
Yeah.
similar. It's the Matrix.
It's real. It's
Yeah,
real.
man. It's just it had a few golden nuggets in there, and
It's
and
bad
some of
fan
it-
fiction, bro.
and it's like the few things was episode 5, 8, and 9. Other than that, I'm good. I'm good. And
Yeah,
what's funny
yeah.
with those episodes, 5 focused on Jet. 8 was what was 8, guys? 8 was
the
8 was the
Pierre
LeFou episode, and 9 was the backstory between Spike and Vicious. That's all I need to see. Like,
Make this
other
a
than that-
slice of life show where it's just them on the Bebop hanging out and chilling, and it's like a laugh track behind it. Like that's the only thing that I like at this point. Like
Oh, I
don't-
wish it was that. It wasn't that. I wish
Yeah.
it was that. It wasn't.
that's what I'm
that
saying.
at
Like
all.
that's what they should make it, because it's like they aren't respecting the story, and I'm not even. Y'all know me. Like I'm a weirdo who likes The Last Jedi in some capacity. Like I
Ooh,
like
like,
when.
man, oh my God.
I like when weird stuff can happen.
Trash.
Yeah,
I understand.
ooh,
Yeah, no, I
You
get
know,
that, but like,
you know what? The beginning was good, but the end
Yeah.
they reversed. They took everything away. And
Yeah,
literally
no.
turned it back
but it was
to
but to me it was a different form of Star Wars,
It was a
and like
different- it was
I
a
can
different
appreciate
form.
when they
It
do
is.
different
Trash
stuff,
version.
but like, but like with Cowboy Bebop, it's again like, okay, what do we like the most about Bebop? There's the music, which is one side of Bebop. Then there's the character, that's the other side.
Finally
Everything
understand how I
else.
feel, Miguel, about Star Wars. You finally understand my pain.
I get it.
That's
It's
what
all
you
good.
telling me.
But yeah, I mean, it's just that the fact that just because you can do stuff don't mean you have to do it, bro. bro. Like you don't have to make Julia a bad person that wants to take over the syndicate. You ain't got to do that. You ain't got to leave Ian. You ain't got to leave Ian like on a planet by himself because y'all mad that he can spit things out his eyes. That's not even his fault. You don't question that. You just drop the dog off. Nah, we ain't gonna address that. You ain't gotta make Vicious the weakest anime villain I have ever seen, like ever. Nah, like you don't have to do these things, but they chose to. They did that. So I don't know what season 2 is gonna be, bro.
But Julie gonna look at Vicious' head and she gonna say, "I will finish, but you have stopped it."
Like legit, like go back and watch the first episode. Like after I finished episode 10, I just put in episode 1 of the anime, and I was like, "This is why I love this show." And nothing from that live action joint can compare, bro. Even from just like the subtle scenes where Spike is just smoking or something like that, or like when, like I said, when him and Jet are like having their little beefs or whatever. Jet has his own ship. Y'all know that, right? You know, Jet comes down besides just the Bebop. He got like a thing that can like flip cars over and stuff like that. They help each other during missions.
That's season 2. That's season 2. You're not seeing that. You're not gonna see that,
bro.
No, what happened is, on real talk, what happened is the characterization of ruined the show.
Yeah.
None of the plot lines was too out of sorts, or they would have kept if everybody would stay true to the character. Because they would have to change stuff. If they
the Matrix episode, that was totally just wasteful.
And that's one of your random things. I mean, still, if they would have kept, because the way they introduced everybody in the first couple of episodes, the first 2 episodes, they introduced everybody. But if everybody would have played, if Vicious would have been Vicious in the first episode, it would have dictated. Then when you got to episode 9, you be like, okay, that's just why they became like that. Episode, you get to the end of the series, and it's like that. These are like 2 different characters. It seems to me like there's about 2 different, like Spike might as well be a twin. Vicious, it's like what happened? It's like they need to be another episode 9, because it's like I don't see how you guys are this way from episode 9. Like why Vicious ain't Vicious after that? His dad don't like him. He got his girl to that supposed to be.
He don't like him.
Why was you that kind of pissed you off? It's like you get to episode 9, like I'm more angry now.
That's what Lewis was saying earlier. Like for episode 9, it's like if you didn't have any context of what Cowboy Bebop was before, as a show watcher, it might have been a fantastic episode.
I even take that. It still don't make no sense. Because even Julia kind of,
it's such a significant fall off.
She kind of even explains it in our head, and it's like, dang, like when she said, like, Vicious, you still with a girl who cheated on you, and it's like you don't have to know nothing about Bebop. Point blank, why are you with this chick, and she literally cheated on you? Why are you doing this?
You know what? I ain't gonna lie, man. She played both of them. It felt like she played both of them at the end.
Yeah,
like,
pretty much.
And you was simp.
Because it sounded like at some point she would have turned on Spike and would have been like, yo, when we gonna take over the syndicate? And he was like, I've never been about that. Like, that's never what I've been about. But apparently that's what she wanted.
Offered that to him in this show. She was like, let's do it. Yeah. And he was like, I don't want
Let's do it.
You know?
I don't want the syndicate.
And she never brought that up. When he's trying to dip in the beginning, he's like, I'm trying to get out of the syndicate. She never was like, let's take it over. Like, we can kill the elder. Like, no. So I'm like, what? At what point 3 years down the road is this where she wants to switch to? Like, I think
because she's become vicious. I keep telling y'all, man, she's vicious.
Oh, the thing about this show that I overall hate is because the characters, they don't give enough time for stuff to grow. There are episodes of regular Cowboy Bebop where literally nothing happens to advance the story in the background. It's just a show. It's just stuff happening on their daily adventures, and then maybe 2 or 3 episodes down the road, oh, remember that overarching plot that we had kind of boiling and bubbling up a little bit? We'll give you another taste of that, and then we'll keep going for like 3 more episodes without referencing again. In this one, literally, Vicious is like every episode. Julia is like every episode. It's always about this conflict that they have.
So when they show up, it's not special. That's my issue with it.
Yeah.
Because when Vicious and Julia finally showed up And what's the episode? Ballad of Fallen Angels with
Mm-hmm.
Vicious when they first fight in the church. That was amazing. I think it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that it's just episode 5.
And Spike
Episode
one
5.
man that, by the
And
way,
when you
like
get
Spike was in
there,
there
the
by
whole
himself.
tone of the show
Yes,
just totally
yes,
shifts.
yes, yes,
The color palette
But-
changes to purple and black.
Yeah.
And you hear that.
Yes,
You hear
yes,
that.
yes.
I don't feel a thing.
Don't talk about that.
And
They
he
only
walking
did
up
30
there,
second
and the
clip in
music
this
is
one.
swirling,
They
and
supposed to
it's
keep playing
awesome,
the
bro.
song.
Yeah, when he get kicked out the glass, Mary. I'm like, yo, my heart. Fat, that's when I knew I loved that show, and even this show doesn't play that up right. I'm like, all right, y'all just
They
don't
only
care,
do.
man.
They only. They
fell in
only
the water.
do
Yeah,
a 30
he's
second
just
clip.
falling out. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh. We
I'm
talked
laugh
about
at
it.
y'all while I can because our series is up next.
Yeah,
on the chopping block.
yeah. When One Piece comes out, we're gonna do another viewing party, and I'm just going,
All right.
y'all. We're gonna put you and JL in the front of the room, and we just gonna be behind y'all. I told
Now,
you. I told
Check this
you.
out. But hold on,
I'm gonna
man.
have the
Pump break,
Days of
pump
Our
break.
Lives
Because
hourglass.
here's the
As
thing.
I told
That
you,
article
I got
you
off the
posted in our
ride.
Discord,
I couldn't do that no more.
Japan Man.
Well, which
you
one?
said
For
that
what?
The one that it mentioned how Watanabe wasn't involved with this. It was all Sunrise.
Yeah, so it's like
Yeah.
Watanabe was a consultant, and they
They
consulted
didn't
him
listen
for
to him.
ideas. That didn't
They
mean that they had to use his stuff. And
They
to
didn't
me,
have
I'm
to
like,
listen to
oh,
him.
because that was my question after I saw the 3rd episode. I was like on reset there. I was like, yo, was there
Yeah.
any mention of Watanabe being involved with this or anything? Because this don't seem like Watanabe at all.
No.
Like it don't seem like him at all. And it was like, nah,
Yeah.
not really. I was like,
Yeah,
oh, okay,
so-
that makes sense then.
So the difference there is that Oda, from what I read, is actually involved, and he's not in a position where I think he's a producer on it.
Okay.
That's why I read. So I'm not as worried. I mean, even the cast, they didn't cast some 50-year-old to play Luffy. That's a good start.
Sure.
No, man, that's mean. No
Yeah,
hate
that's
on
grimy.
John Cho.
Stop that.
I thought John.
I
Cho
think
did a
John
good
Cho
job.
I think he
a
did
job.
good, man.
He did a
Like,
good
who
job,
else would
but-
they have picked? Like,
but
off
the
top, I
thing
can't think
is,
of no
I
one
feel
else
like-
right now.
No, but it's like
Watanabe, this would have turned out a whole lot differently. They did a lot of things in the show they try to be like other shows, man. That's what I feel like. It felt like
Yeah.
this show tried to be like other shows with a Cowboy Bebop skin on. It wanted to be.
like I said,
Wanted
to
be
me,
HBO so
the
bad.
characters ruined the show, man.
Yeah,
The
dude,
characters
so-
ruined it. I mean, that's gonna be for me. That's what I took from that. You know, when I press, shut off Netflix, the characters ruined the show. Because
man.
first
Go to
impression-
space. Go to space.
first
Like, do stuff in
impression-
space.
There was no space stuff.
Questions is everything. Like I said, when we saw Battle of the Fallen Angels and finally saw Vicious, it set the tone of what he was doing.
Yeah.
Episode 1 did not set the tone. It set the tone for all these characters. They were going to be a joke. We
Yeah,
knew
it
where
set the
episode
tone
1
that
Vicious
they're gonna
wasn't
do
gonna
this
be
wrong. Like when you see
good. When we
Faye
first heard
overcome
Jed
Spike,
talking,
and you like,
he
how is
did his
Faye
thing.
destroying Spike? Like what?
when Faye came out and shooting folks and she spunky and all that, I said, no, stop, man, stop. I mean, this is
Great.
the soul of the show is
Great.
not here.
Come on, we grading.
Let me.
Great.
Yeah, man.
See.
Hold on.
See.
My,
See,
my whole
See.
issue as a Cowboy Bebop lover comes not just with the character, but the whole point of the show. I read once, somebody was like, oh, it's okay if you change stuff as long as the heart and the theme of the show is still there. First off, number 1, Splish Splash. Your opinion is freaking trash. Number 1. And number 2, if anybody watching this, I want you to understand that the theme and the heart of Cowboy Bebop is not here. It is non-existent.
no.
This was one of the only animes I ever watched where you could have it a fun time and enjoy it and watch an episode, but by the end of it, it could leave you confused. It could leave you with a weight. And there is a reason behind that. Because the real main characters in this are Spike, Jet, and Faye. Everybody else has Spike, Jet, Faye, and Ed. Everybody else serves a particular purpose in their lives. This story, the story of Cowboy Bebop, is about real life people going through real life problems, plain and simple, and having to grow as real life human beings. None of that is in this show. This show holds no weight. It holds no gravity. It holds no importance. None of this matters. None of this cares. I don't care about any of this. In every single episode, we learned something about one of those four characters. Something essential to who they are and essential to where they got to be at the end of the show. In this, I don't care a bit about none of these folks. None of these backstories, none of the information matters at all. It's all trash. It don't hold no weight. This show fails. It gets a F from me. But not just that. It gets added to my list of things that I hate. There are two movies in this lifetime. I done said this so many times, I'll continue to say it. There are two movies I hate for separate reasons. Batman v Superman, because you wasted excellent potential on trash. And The Last Jedi, because this movie could have been great, but you chose to do it at the wrong time. Cowboy Bebop is a combination of both. Not only did you waste excellent source material, but you used all of your good stuff at the wrong time and watered it down. It's like it was like drinking. It was like I was drinking Kool-Aid, but it was 90% water and 2% Kool-Aid.
It was like when you
It's water. That's all it is. It's water.
It's like when you have a LaCroix, one of them sparkling waters, and they like the bright. It's like a bright can. It look all nice and refreshing. You taste it, it's like, oh my god.
Yes.
That's the Blues point. I definitely agree with his last point. They wasted the good stuff that's here. There is some good stuff. We got you know Yoko Kanno with her music. You know, you got Mustafa's Jet. You know, Jonto Spike is pretty good. Other than that, man, it's like you're wasting those. You know what I'm saying? I think, especially with Mustafa, he's perfect casting. Perfect casting. And like, yeah, you're kind of wasting those things. And as for, it's a double-edged sword because this could bring more attention to the anime. Because that doesn't change. This doesn't hurt the main anime at all to me.
It don't, but I know there are people who are coming in like, I saw that on Netflix, and I'm gonna watch the anime, and like this anime trash.
I'm gonna say no. The true story of it all, though, it does any new episodes. So to me, I'm like, yeah, this wasn't great, but I always have the anime. With that said, man, I give it like a C minus. I give a C minus. Like I mean like a straight up 70 though. It's like there's worse. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, guys. I gotta since this is an anime adaptation, as looking at the other anime adaptations, there's definitely worse than this. Dragon Ball Evolution, Death Note. Anyway, I give a C minus, man. It wasn't. It's wasted potential. That's why I'll say with this show, wasted potential.
You know, E plus, no words to be said.
I'm gonna give it a C. I'm gonna give it a C. I'm gonna give it a C. And this is why I think the vibes and the setting they got right. What they had, and as an introduction, they got it right. But as I said, to me, from watching Cowboy Bebop when I was younger, the heart and soul of the Bebop was the characterization. That's what it was. It was about a bunch of people who lost something, from Faye losing her memory, from Spike losing Julia, from Jet being an ex-cop, even Ed with her. Remember, her dad left her, never picked her up, even though it was funny, but it was kind of serious too. Dad never came back for her, and they was just like I said, they were surviving in this world where everybody else was surviving. They wasn't superheroes. They wasn't nothing special. They were just a regular guy, and just the scenes of Spike just walking down the street, it wasn't nothing special about him. We we're just looking at these group of people living at this group of time. They're just like everybody else. Matter of fact, there's plenty other cowboys out there that's doing the same exact thing as they're doing, and you're just watching them. That was not in this show. That it's like you meet halfway. It's like you make a good movie set. You got the special effects, everything that you can afford, and you just cast the wrong people. Or you have the good cast, but you didn't even give them a good script. Like the writers failed.
Yeah.
And it's to the point it didn't matter. Remember when we all saw this and we saw the picture of Vicious and we like, oh my God, this is not going to be good. By the time we watched it and actually heard him act and speak, it's like, it didn't matter what he looked like. He could have looked straight. He did not play Vicious. He was not the character. He was not Faye, was not Faye. It didn't matter. It didn't matter if she had the uniform on because they didn't want to sexualize her. They just created a totally different. Her name could be Brittany. It didn't matter. No one cared about. No one cared about Faye. That wasn't Faye at all, man. That wasn't Julia. Wasn't Julie. Like I said, I understand that Vicious and you may not know a lot about people, but if you know who they are as a person, we got that in the anime. We knew who Julia and Vicious were in the anime. And it's like, just flesh out a story based off that. And it's like the potential was there, but the end product didn't produce a thing. And that just ruined the whole thing. I'm realistic. I knew they wasn't going to go faithful with 10 episodes. I knew they couldn't. I'm glad they went this route because I did not want to speed up 24 episodes to 10.
Yeah.
I did not want them. I didn't want, because if that was the case, heck, episode was basically going to be your end game. And, the last 3, they could have went out with that. I wouldn't have liked that. So I knew they had to extend it at some point. But I thought that they was going to flesh out these people are a little bit more. I think they did that with Jet. They added with the daughter, but nothing really changed about that. It was kind of like, okay, this is who he is. He used to be a cop. This is what happened. But everybody else, it did not pan out that way. Like everybody else, even Spike, he did the best he can. But like I said, you're going to choose Julia over a one night because you just had a one night stand and that's it. Now you just want to run away with her. So it's like I give it a C. I like the setting. I like the vibe. I like the original song, and the some of the characters that they chose. But as far as like the soul of it is the people, and except only Jet, none of that worked. None of it worked. So I think, like what Japan Man was saying, like, I think when people look at the anime, that's what they're going to figure out. Like, these people, they're going to be like, hold up, these characters are totally different. Despite from Jet, even Spike going to be a little bit different. It's like, wow, this was, even the first episode, I believe, if you tell somebody to watch the first episode and you tell them, no, watch the anime version of the same episode, you're going to get a deeper meaning.
So much more.
It means so much
more, bro.
So much more. So I give it a C, man. It's going to be a C. If I talk anymore, it's going to be a D. If I talk any more than that, it's going to be an F. So I'm just going to give it a C. I like what I saw visually, but like I say, the soul of Bebop to me is the characters. You got to make the characters make sense. And Jet was the only one that made sense. Yeah. His point of how he was living, he was truly a spirit of the Bebop. He was just there because, hey, this is what I got to do now. I still got the cop in me, but I had a dirty dude that got me locked up. And I lost my wife, I lost my kid, and I'm just surviving. Spike, it looked like I had a one-night stand with a girl and got shot off a bridge, and I didn't pick her up. And we know how vicious the Julia is. Like, none of that made sense. So I'm going to give it a C, and I'm going to just keep it at that. But I won't watch it again. I won't watch it. Or see you had it.
For me, this is On a scale of Dragon Ball Evolution to like Ghost in the Shell to like Alita Battle Angel to like
Dragon
Detective
Ball Z Evolution
Pikachu.
doesn't exist.
Exactly. So
It doesn't exist.
this is
It
Ghost in the Shell level. Dragon Ball Evolution don't exist. It's not real.
It don't
We never
exist.
talk about these.
I
things.
never watched that.
That's like talking about the first Hulk movie. We don't talk about that. That never happened.
Now this is worse than that. There's nothing worse than Dragon Ball Evolution. There's nothing worse.
So I feel strongly that this
Alien
is
versus Ninja is better than Dragon Ball Evolution.
Nah, like to me, this is on the Ghost in the Shell level. Like I know some people put Alita higher than like as far as like a good anime adaptation, and to me, I never was connected to Alita on the front end, so it didn't make me no difference. But Detective Pikachu is a good movie. Like I like that and I know it has Pokemon elements, so it's anime to an extent. This movie falls in that Ghost in the Shell version where it's like, oh, we're gonna make the setting look cool. We can do these environments now because it's the 2000s, and we can put a budget on this and make the action look kind of cool. But then at the same time, we still don't understand these characters. We don't know how to present them the best way. We don't know how to write a good story around them. And since we're Hollywood, we have to change it. Like we can't just do the exact same thing. It has to be a little different. And that's where this falls at. It's not a complete utter disrespect to Cowboy Bebop in the sense that they did not try in some areas. Because as we've all have said, there are moments that really shine through. They are small and few and far in between, but there are moments where this show works. And I'm like, oh wow, that's a lot better than I think a lot of other attempts that I've even tried to at least view. However, overall, Cowboy Bebop means so much to like anime just in general. Like it means so much. Its legacy it's been solidified, and this is one of the things that can't ruin it. Like it's not gonna go back and retroactively mean that Cowboy Bebop sucks now. Like no, it's always been great. It'll stay great. This as alternate universe type take on Cowboy Bebop is just strange. It's very weird. It's very unnecessary, but it's here and I don't necessarily appreciate it for what it is, but it's not the end of the world. Like, am I gonna watch season 2 and be intrigued to see what happens in the story? Yeah. Like, am I excited for it? No. Like, I just want to see what they do because it's being done at this point. But nothing in me is like, oh, this is a great show. This is really good. I can't say I enjoy watching it because there are lots of points and times where I was watching and I was like, oh, this is pissing me off. Like, this is really bad. Like, I don't understand why they did this, you know? And like I said, I'm a weird type of person that likes when stuff changes in major series and franchises for reasons that do make sense. Like, yes, Blue, my opinion is trash because I think The Last Jedi has some merit to be somewhat of a really awesome Star Wars film. It's on certain levels, not overall in the grand scheme of things, but I would rather have a Last Jedi than have a Rise of Skywalker, which was complete gutter trash because it stuck to the script so formally. Like it was like, yeah, we're gonna do a Star Wars movie where everything happens fine, everything turns out fine, nothing happens and nothing changes. Whereas like there were risks taken for Last Jedi that I don't think any other Star Wars movie has ever done. Was it necessary? No. Could it have been better? Yes. And I think that's what this is for me. It's like, this ain't necessary. I don't appreciate it overall. I do feel like there were levels where it was somewhat decent, but overall, it's taken it's taken that and just really just ruined it. And I don't like it. I don't like it. If I had to give it a letter grade, it's like, all right, we'll stick to a D. Like a D is like a straight up 60 something or whatever, or maybe failing is less than 60. I can't remember, but like it's a D. Like the music was there. Some of the characters were cool. Like we all have said, Jet was amazing. I really liked Spike at the end of it all. Like I thought he was okay. Can I say that I really like his character motivations? No, but I mean it is what it is at this point. I think Faye has potential. Maybe she could turn around, but I don't like how they presented her initially. And yeah, everybody else is just like there. Like Vicious and Julia, like y'all did this to them. Y'all made them bad. Like they were never bad in my eyes. I never really had a strong opinion on them one way or the other, except that Vicious was kind of cool. But like now it's like, oh, they're bad characters. Anna though is nice. I like Anna, but she's not a main character in the show. She wasn't supposed to be. This is supposed to be about Spike. Bay, Jet, Ed, Ian. So I mean, hopefully they can recover that type of vibe, you know, and I'm sure they'll try and write them as a family in the next season. But yeah, it's a disappointment, man. I don't know. It's a deep disappointment.
Yeah, I heard it here first. It's just as good as The Last Jedi. Take that as you will.
Real quick too. One day we're gonna have a Last Jedi discussion.
We should. I'll be happy to have that. I may need to rewatch it. I've only seen it one time.
I'm drawing lines and saying that. Oh my gosh, I hate that movie. Oh my gosh.
And also, by the way, I just want to
let's do it. I can't wait for that. There's a whole YouTube video that explains perfect of why I don't like Last Jedi. No, I think I shared it one time when it first came out on Discord. But he broke it down completely. What's wrong?
Unlike that movie, I don't think this is gonna divide the fan base of Bebop fans. I don't think that's not gonna happen here.
Also, I gotta say, out of respect for the homie, R.I.P. Grin, because we ain't never gonna get the Grin from the show. R.I.P. though, you know, your homie.
Go ahead, R-Dot. Close us out. What you think, dog?
If you can hug me on camera tonight, Lord Jesus. It's weird.
It is what it is.
Let me cut the camera off so she can hug me. Bye.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. All right, come in. Come on. They don't see you. They don't see you.
I'm gonna wait.
Oh Jesus. All right, I'm back. I'm back.
All right, cool.
I can hug you. I can't do that. They see me.
Yeah, I mean,
Can't see me be soft like Vicious.
Yeah, they can't see me be soft.
Oh my gosh.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, man. I don't want to talk about this too much. We gotta get out of here.
Yeah, that's time. I'm hungry. It's been long. I knew this was gonna be a trial, but I'm not doing this again. So like, it's what it is.
Hey, if you like the show.
You know what? No, for real though, like if this is your first time watching Cowboy Bebop,
No,
this show,
please watch the anime first.
Please just go watch the anime. Please watch the anime. Because I know we sound like haters. I know we sound like, oh, they don't want to try nothing new. Please go watch the anime, fam.
Please,
there's a reason why. Like, and I'm sure I'm sure fan bases say this all the time. Like, but even if you watch the anime and you can appreciate this in its own bubble, I understand that. Like, I completely understand that. However, from a critical analysis of this show in comparison to what it comes from, we got to do this. It's got to be like this. It's got to be like this. We got to talk about it for 3 hours to get it out of our system.
And I'm going to say this, fans. We spoke about this for the longest because this is one of the things where you do not have to make up your own source material. It's not nothing outrageous. This was just a simple sci-fi story of regular human beings living during that time. They are just bounty hunters. That is it. Yeah. That is it. You didn't have to say that.
You got the perfect. You literally have the perfection right there. Yeah. Like all your source material is.
It's
right
not that
there.
hard. It's not that hard to do.
At all.
It's not hard.
This is not nothing complicated. This was very simple.
Yeah.
No more raisins in the macaroni.
Oh my God. Yeah, for real though. They not invited to the cookout. Yeah. You ain't even let Watanabe. You ain't let Watanabe direct y'all, fam. He don't get one episode.
Y'all didn't get one episode.
You ain't give him one episode to come and outclass y'all. Cause I bet if Watanabe had anything to do with one episode, he would kill this joint.
Man, look, if y'all made it this far to the corner, y'all the GOAT.
Yes.
Love y'all.
Yes.
And like and subscribe. We gotta end this video. We're gonna keep going. All right.
I don't want to talk about this no more.
Rain.
We'll catch y'all on the flip side. Don't care.
It was fun, y'all.
You ain't gotta.
We did do it.
You can go watch the anime. All right.
Yeah, go watch the anime. Take the weight off your shoulders. Don't suffer like that. We'll holla at y'all. See y'all, Space Cowboys and Cowgirls.